Right, guys, we are away and we're off for our first Premier League show of the season. Fantastic. Welcome to one and all. I hope you guys have had a great summer and I hope that you guys are happy with your team's activity in the transfer window. Welcome, first of all, to Darren, Man United fan. How you doing, Darren?
I'm good, mate. You?
Yeah, I'm just come back from the Hungary Grand Prix, so I'm still part of me is still just like, what is going on here, man? I'm trying to get back into the football mode, but Formula One's on a break now. It's on the summer break, so now you can totally
it's been actually quite good, to be fair. Formula One for once.
Yeah, yes, and it's only going to get better now. They've got that.
Cars actually tend to sort of race each other, which is really good. Like for a sport where cars are supposed to race each other
because of the new rules. So welcome, Neil. Neil, how's your summer been?
Yeah, it's been okay. It's been relatively quiet. Obviously, no football, but then I did try and catch up with the women's Euros, which was brilliant. And well done, England ladies, for doing your thing and beating the Germans.
I'll tell you, I've had such a busy summer. I have to confess, I didn't watch any of the games for the second half of the final in extra time. I think I caught half of a match of Wimbledon, and I've just been completely off the pace. I've just been so busy trying to sort out other stuff. But so normally my eyes are glued on those things. So it's a little bit of a shame that I missed out. I heard Wimbledon was really good. I'm sure Andy will be able to fill me in. Drew, how was your summer?
So I've found interesting sports to follow. I actually watched the Tour de France every day.
I watched it as well.
I've got to admit, I've always kept a passing interest on it because France, controversially, is my second favourite country in the world because it's got nice scenery. But it was actually captivating. It was genuinely quite good to watch. Enjoyed England beating Australia in rugby. That was lovely.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously England women beating Germany. So we've literally beaten the two worst countries in the world that aren't America. So it's not been the worst summer in the world.
Unbelievable. Andy, how was your summer and how and tell me if you enjoyed Wimbledon or not.
Yeah, had a good summer. Yes, I enjoyed Wimbledon. I would have quite liked Kyrgios to win. I know that's kind of controversial, but
very, very.
I would have liked Kyrgios to win. Being a Spurs fan, but yeah, no, and Greek obviously, but Aussie Greek. But yeah, no, we had a good summer. I've enjoyed it. I've missed the football, but it's also been nice just to relax a little bit without it. I didn't really take any notice of the women's Euros until the semi-final, and then caught the second half of the semi-final when they played very well to beat Sweden. But I mean, the Swedish goalkeeper, she's awful. But yeah, and then Sunday, I had my daughter and we put it on at the tennis club. And so I took my daughter and we watched it with a few people from the tennis club on Sunday, and that was very enjoyable. And my little girl got quite excited, so it was great.
Excellent. So, guys, we are here we're going to get right into it. I know when I do my other Arsenal shows, we tend to take 10 or 20 minutes to just talk about current events. But these are current events because the transfer window is at a point now where you've made your bed and now we have to lie in it. The season has started. I'm happy because Arsenal notoriously are lastminute.com and tend to do all their business on the last day. So this for me is an anomaly because it's the first time that we've gone in and done all our business, literally 90% of it, before the season started. So I welcome that. I've actually had quite a good summer in terms of football. Unlike you guys, I haven't rested because I have to keep my YouTube channel going. So I've been doing 4 or 5 videos a week. So I've been forced to talk about football all the time. But we're going to today talk about the transfer windows and what teams are doing. We're going to sort of give them a grade out of 10 for what the teams have actually achieved. We'll from my perspective, start from sort of worst to first, but it doesn't have to be yours, obviously, because you've got your own opinions on what teams have done and how good they've managed to rebuild their squad. Then after that, we'll spend 10 minutes just talking about who we think is going to win the Premier League title. Well, instead of top 4, we'll go top 6, I think, because that'll make it more interesting. So the first team, first of all, let me say, someone's got some music in the background, so I might have to.
Oh, that's me. Sorry.
Look, yeah, reggae time finish about 9 o'clock, bro.
You could hear that. You could hear that louder than me because it's turned right down.
Hey, I was starting to skank to it, man. I was starting to skank to it. Kuke says the
gang is back. Thing on Radio 2 on Sunday night.
Kuke says the gang is back. Yes, we are, bro. Yes, we are.
Hey, Kuke.
AT says Andy's got rid of that green screen. That's why he solved that problem a long time ago, mate. You're late to the podcast. The problem was sorted out a long time ago. So the first team that we're going to talk about is going to be Bournemouth. And Bournemouth have brought in Joe Rothwell from Blackburn on a free. Blackburn, oh, Lord. And they brought in Ryan Fredericks from West Ham on a free. Now, they're back in the Premier League with who's their manager?
Scott Parker, isn't it?
No, Scott Parker. Yeah, I thought he was the manager of Fulham, but
no.
They're back with Scott Parker, but they haven't really sort of made themselves available for top flight. What I mean by that is when you're in the Championship, you could see teams already starting to build for that big, massive jump into the Premier League. And, we can see that's kind of happened with Forest. We can see that's kind of happened elsewhere. But Bournemouth, I'm just not sure. I mean, I think these guys are going straight down. I mean, look, we've still got a month to go, so anything can happen. But from what I can see at the moment, and we are judging this, guys, on activity up until now. So I have to give them a 3 out of 10, I'm afraid. Darren, what's your views on... Darren, what's your views on Bournemouth? What would you give them for this summer's activity?
I don't know either of those players very well, so I'm going to have to go 3 as well. 2 or 3. I mean, they're the same bunch of players that went down, 2 years ago? And these 2 players added aren't, for me, I'm going to keep them up. So it's got to be a 2 or 3.
Neil, what would you give Bournemouth?
I'd give them a 3 as well. But the thing is, though, you can't take those players at face value or assume that the teams aren't going to do that well. I mean, you look at when Fulham came up, how many players did they actually buy that summer? And it still didn't save them. So, as long as they play like a well-oiled machine, they may do well enough. I personally think that they're probably going to go straight back down. But one of those teams coming up will surprise us.
Drew, they've lost Gary Cahill, Gavin McKinley, Robbie Brady, Sam Sheringham, and they've lost Zeno Rossi as well.
Yeah.
But so you can sort of say, those are 5 guys who really help you get into the Premier League. So you've lost 5 and gained 2.
They're a worse team than what they were when they got promoted at the end of last season, and they're a worse team than what got relegated a couple of seasons ago.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, personally, I think their transfer business so far, because of what they've had leave the club and what they've managed to bring in return, I would only give them a 1. I personally think Bournemouth do not care about this season.
No.
This is a bonus, it is, financially for them to be in the Premiership this year.
They've got their parachute payment for coming up, haven't they?
Yeah, because as you guys know, it's a base 94.1 million, and then it's TV add-ons after that. The more you're on television, you could earn up to 24 million on top of that. The least games you are, it's just another 5 million. So, and they're going to probably be in the 5 million category. So they got 100 million, which is great for them. But
I personally think that, unlike Forest, who appear to be a little bit different minded on this, I think Bournemouth are getting the money this season, go back down for next season, and build it over the next few years. I think they've come up a little bit too quickly in their project. So I could only give them a 1 realistically.
So we move to Andy. Andy, there's two ways that Championship teams normally do this. They either say we're going to go for it and we're going to shock the Premier League, or they either say, and this is something we've seen from the likes of Blackpool when they came up. We've seen it from various other teams when Burnley originally done it, but Burnley's actually they allowed it to kind of stick for a long while. The managers normally say, look, I'm going to reward the players who got us there and I'm going to play them. And that's never really worked out. It's worked out for, I remember it's worked out for Wolves, it worked out for Brighton, it worked out for Burnley, but that's a minority. The majority of teams that try to do that go straight back down. What's your thoughts on the transfer business?
Well, for me, I mean, well, I agree with Drew, 1 out of 10 in terms of what they've done to date. What I expect is they will do some business, because Parker's not somebody that likes to roll over. I mean, he used to play for Spurs. He's played for decent, played for Chelsea. He's somebody that he likes to win, and he is, I suspect, not happy with the business as things stand. But I suspect he's got a little bit of a standoff with the board saying exactly what you were saying just now, is that they're gonna do a Norwich. They're going to say, do you know what? We've come up. We're not going to break the bank. We're not going to spend 50, 80, 100 million on new players. We're going to take our medicine. We're going to try and compete, but probably go back down. In my opinion, they're certainly going down unless they do something drastic in the next month. I would actually take a reasonable guess that they'll actually finish bottom. Because I look at all the other clubs, all the other 19 clubs, and I can't see anyone that Bournemouth are going to finish above. Now, I could easily be proved wrong, but right now, you couldn't be guaranteed who the three are going down are, but I would say that I would put Bournemouth, they're going back down, unless they do something remarkable. I think the problem they're going to have is that, and in the past, Spurs have found that. I mean, because we've achieved the Champions League this year, players have wanted to come to us, and we've got it done. We've got it done early this year. But we've found this in the past, where there's a ladder of teams. The way the transfer business works, you kind of got to wait for City and Liverpool to do their business, and the likes of Barcelona and Real Madrid at the top end of the table, before the likes of Arsenal, Spurs, Arsenal and Spurs can get involved. And then when Arsenal and Spurs get involved, then the Aston Villas and the Newcastles and the Wolves have got to wait until Spurs and Arsenal and Chelsea and Man United have done their business. And then once they've done their business, and so Bournemouth at the bottom of that pile. Bournemouth are waiting to see who's available at the end of the window, and they're going to get what they can then, I suspect.
Tony makes me laugh. Tony's not a fan of transfer windows, guys. So a few of you guys have been asking me that I gave Bournemouth too much of a high mark. Well, that's because I was saving my one for the team that's 19th on the list, and it's Leicester. So, guys, I'm not going to waste any time with this. They're in disarray, these guys. They lost their goalkeeper today for oh God, what's his name? Dr. Evil would say, $1 million. Yeah.
I can't believe that they actually let him go. I really can't believe it.
They had no choice contractually, and the same things with
Tielemans. A long time, and he's done a lot for that club, and they probably felt they owed him.
Yeah,
I mean, they're about to lose Maddison to Newcastle, Tielemans to Arsenal. I mean, James Vardy is going to be 36 years old in January next year. I mean, they are in utter shambles. I'm saving my 1 out of 10 for
and
Leicester.
Chelsea want Fofana.
Yeah. Darren, so I'm going with a 1 on that one. Darren, what's your thoughts on Leicester?
Well, it's an easy one, 100%, even at a 0.
He's probably right. He's probably right.
I don't know if things stay as they are. I don't know if Leicester are in that bad of a scenario that you're saying. Okay, they've lost their goalkeeper. I mean, who have they got backup goalkeeper? Have they got anyone in there at the moment? decent or.
Still plenty of time for them to buy another one anyway.
I think last year didn't they have like a load of injuries? So if they can have a fully fit squad for the whole season and keep those players that we talked about, they'll be in around, fifth to eighth, fourth to eighth, because they're still a good side, still got good players. It's just obviously if those players leave that you said, then bloody hell, I don't know what's going on over there. But
mate, I think they're going to be around the 16, 15, 17 relegation. I think they're going to be
really. What even if all their players get back fit? So the Fofanas, the Tielemans, the Vardy, they're all fit all season.
That's if they hold on to them.
I think they're going to go.
What I'm saying.
I mean, Ben Jacobs today just said that the bid from Arsenal is going to come in within the next 48 hours.
Why do you need? I don't get it. Why do you need him?
Because they're looking to.
What about 19 number 10s? Yeah,
it's not number 10. It's number 8. They're looking for number 8. So and then obviously Jamie Vardy can't stay in. Scotty can't stay fit.
Well, what's Party up to? Is he having a party?
The last 2 years he's been injury prone.
Well, he won't be after what happened with his missus in court.
Yeah, he's getting death threats and everything.
Yeah.
So who's next? Neil, what's your verdict on Leicester? 0.
I mean, they haven't done anything. They haven't improved, and they look as if they're actually going to be a worse squad. Shape wise. There's still 23 days or so left of the transfer window, so there's still plenty of time for them to bring in new players, but there hasn't been any rumors of who they're actually going to be. Well, not that I've heard anyway. So at the moment, 0, because they've done nothing.
So Drew, the only team not to sign a player in the league. What are you doing?
It kind of feels, and we've seen it a few times with clubs. We saw it in Leeds when they first got relegated all those years ago, when a board and the ownership lose interest in the game of football. And I kind of feel like that might be the case what's happening. They're having a fire sale of players at the moment. Fofana will go to Chelsea. I'm 99.9% certain Tielemans is the worst kept in secret, will end up at Arsenal. And what they going to be left with? Because then they're not bringing in players to come and play with what their bare bones squad's going to look like. Who wants to go and partner Sionchu at centre back? It's not exactly a glamour name to go play next to, is it? Who's going to want to play behind this Leicester back four?
Yeah,
they are going to struggle to bring players in. Their only saving grace that will keep them off bottom is they've probably still got a slightly better squad than Bournemouth. That's the only thing I think it will keep them off of being the bottom team in the Premiership this season.
Yeah, because they got Inacho. I mean, they've got players who can.
There must be a plan there, though, right? They've got a top manager. He must be demanding of. He must be.
I was about to say the plan to Andy, because as I go around, I'm giving you guys all pointers. Andy,
I've actually seen Brendan Rodgers talk about.
I haven't asked you the question yet.
What?
I haven't asked you the question yet. Andy, are we waiting for 30 million for Tielemans and 60 million for Jamie Maddison? Are we waiting for 80, 90 million to spend?
Well, I think Rodgers, the issue Leicester have got, as I understand it from Brendan Rodgers, is that they've got issues with FFP. And they've got to balance the books, and they cannot spend until they sell. And so the problem they've got is they're trying to get top dollar for what they've got on their books in order to be able to invest in some half-decent players who will likely be coming from abroad, because they won't be able to afford to buy players from this country because of the premium you have to pay.
They just need to get Barcelona's accountant, I think.
Well, yeah, maybe, yeah. So I think the issue is they don't want to lose everybody. One thing I will say is Leicester were ravaged, and I mean ravaged, by injury last year. They basically had their whole defence missing, and a lot of those players are back, and they came back towards the end of the season. And Leicester's form did improve towards the end of the season. They ended up getting up themselves, I think, up into 8th, I think.
They still got Ndidi. Ndidi was out for half the season.
I mean, Leicester, if you look at the players they've still got on their books now, and bearing in mind that about a third of them were injured for a large part of last season, Leicester still have a decent squad as we talk right now. the issue is that all the players that are being linked to leave are their best players. Tielemans, Maddison, Fofana, Schmeichel's gone today. So basically, the players, if they lose those players, then that squad weakens dramatically. And you can't see that Leicester are going to be able to attract players of that calibre to come back in, even if they've got money to spend. So what they will probably have to do is invest in maybe a couple of old guys on free contracts with a bit of experience, and then buy 2 or 3 promising young players who might have future sell-on value, I suspect. But they're going to have to. They're working within the confines of FFP. So it will be interesting to see. So we don't know what's going to happen with Leicester. If Leicester went into the season, Leicester are going to go into the season with a decent squad. The question being is what happens over the next 2 or 3 weeks with the players that are linked to leave. If those players leave, Maddison, Tielemans, Fofana, Leicester have got a big, big problem on their hands. But I still believe they have a good enough squad, you know, with the James Justins and people like that, Dewsbury Hall, Vardy, these kind of people. But is it Barnes?
Yeah, and then Inacho.
They've still got Johnny Evans. They've still got decent players in that squad that I think will get them to finish mid-table. But I don't think they're going to be challenging the top 6. No, I can't see that.
So your grade? 0.
The grade is right now. I'd say 5 because.
Oh, what?
But the only reason I say that is Leicester's most important issue right now is to keep hold of their best players. And you said we're judging it as of right now.
That's right.
And as of right now, they still have all their best players.
That's a fair point.
So
apart from Schmeichel.
And apart from Schmeichel, but goalkeepers are replaceable. They'll find a decent keeper from somewhere.
All right, guys, we need to breeze through this because we've got 20 teams to get through. Next one.
I was going to say, like, how long is this podcast going?
Yeah, don't worry, mate. I'm managing the time. Everton, guys, they are probably going to get James Tarkowski from Burnley, Rubens Vinagre from Sporting. He's on a loan, and Dwight Miller. They're probably going to get a 2. And I think they're going down.
Dwight McNeil is a great signing. I really like McNeil. I think he's a good winger. Everton's big problem is Calvert-Lewin's just gone out injured.
That's right. Is it 6 weeks he's gone out for?
Yeah,
something like 6 weeks, I think.
They've sold Richarlison to us. Calvert-Lewin's out injured. Who's playing up front?
Yeah.
So you might as well give him your grade now, Andy, because you've gone through what you needed to say. What's your grade on them then?
Well, Everton, Tarkowski and Dwight McNeil, they're good signings. They've got a big problem up front. They need to sign a striker, in my opinion. So right now, I'd say maybe 4.
Oh, he's feeling generous today. The drinks are on Andy today, guys.
Tarkowski and McNeil are good signings, and they didn't know about Calvert-Lewin, obviously, until today.
Right, Darren, we've got, they've lost Kenny, they've lost Tosin, they've lost Fabian Delph, Sergeson, Sims, Richarlison, Braithwaite, Ryan Ashley, Joe. They've lost a ton of players. They've lost 9 players.
I do like, I like Tarkowski and I like McNeil. Tarkowski's solid Premiership centre back, especially. Keep clean sheets. McNeil's United's youth player, isn't he? Pretty sure. Used to be at United, and he's quite good left peg on him. Well, I mean, looking at those players that have left, and 3. I mean, you got to be looking at a big signing in there somewhere to bring up the spirit, score the goals, create goals, and everything. I can't see it. So, for what they need, it's a 3. It's easily a 3. They need more than that.
They've tried to jump.
That isn't pushing Everton on. Huh?
I think today they've matched West Ham's offer for that midfielder, Anana. Was it Anana or
Yeah.
They're trying to steal him, but if you had a choice of West Ham or Everton right now, you'd go West Ham, wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly.
All day long. Neil?
I'm going to give it a 2. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do like the lads from Burnley. I think they're pretty solid. But Everton struggled last season.
Yeah.
And they've lost a lot of players. They haven't done much to improve on the team they had last season. And with having no one up front.
Well,
you know
you can't underestimate Dwight McNeil.
No, yeah, but him and Tarkowski, they're not going to turn their whole team around. I mean, they're going to be missing players all over the pitch. Yeah. And as I said, they struggled last season. Yeah, and that was with Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin up front. Yeah.
So you're giving
they
them a
haven't
2?
got those two. I'll give them a 2, mate. I'll give them a 2.
Okay. Drew, is Frank Lampard turning them into another Burnley? I'm thinking if your missus is around.
I mean, truth be told, I could either give them a 2 or a 5 because the 2 Burnley lads are genuinely quality. But
is it enough?
They've not addressed and improved their most critical areas. They a backup centre forward. I mean, you've got 60 million from the Richarlison money.
I mean, what does their front two actually look like at the start of the season? What does it look like? I can't even remember.
Well, it's currently just a massive blank space where Calvert-Lewin's sat in the medical room.
Dele Alli playing as a false 9, maybe, like he used to at Spurs, like play that false 10.
They're trying to find a way to cancel his contract.
I mean, who they got left? I don't even know who they play up top.
I mean, they've got the I keep forgetting his name, the young lad.
Gordon.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was speculating for a move as well, wasn't he?
We're trying to get Gordon.
If Gordon were to leave Everton, then they're in minus figures for their transfer window. Quite frankly,
right. So
that's how borderline they are. They've improved in 2 areas, but they've lost out in almost every other area of the field. So exactly. I can realistically give them a 2.
We give them a 2. Okay.
Yeah.
Next team up is Wolves. Andy, you can go first again after I grade them with a 3. They brought in 1 player, which is Nathan Collins from Burnley. God, Burnley selling all their bloody players. These players want to still play in the Premier League.
Can I just say, though, but Burnley have also massively improved in certain areas. So, second in the Championship at the moment, just saying.
Company's doing well. They had a good start last week, didn't they?
Yeah.
So Wolves, I think Wolves might have a problem this season. They started to struggle last season. I think Lager is a well organised coach, but I just think that there's something missing there at the moment with Wolves, and I think they might struggle. I mean, it's a decent signing, but it's not exactly going to inspire anybody. I mean, there's talk today that Cody's looking for a way out. That Everton might be sniffing around Connor Cody.
That would be an improvement for them if they get him.
He's a good number 9.
Yeah, that would be a massive. But he's obviously a Liverpool fan, so I'm not sure how well that would go down. But
so the grade?
At the moment, I'd say Wolves 2.
Darren,
so what are the players out? Any players out?
Yeah, loads. They've got
anyone of note. 3. Don't worry about the rest. Anyone of note?
Fabio Silva, Lewis.
Yeah, Fabio Silva. He's gone.
Yeah, Leon Sanderson, John Ruddy. They've lost 11 players. There's 11 players down there.
Yeah, and some reserve players.
And they brought in 1.
I have to look at the wider context of who Wolves are and what where they're hoping to be. And as it stands right now, I'd actually probably give their transfer window like a 5 or a 6, just purely again like it was before that Drew said. They keep the players they've got now, then they're probably going to end up where Wolves deserve to be, and that's probably 13th. They've still got Neves. They've still got the guy up top. What's his name? Goal scorer.
Jimenez.
And they've got enough good players around the side to get them where they probably need to be, and that's.
I think they'll break the top 10. I think they'll get into top 10
in a month's time. De Jong falls out the window. We get Neves, and then a couple, then you start saying, okay, now it's between a 1 and a 2 transfer window. So
what's the grade? A 2.
I'm gonna give it a 5.
A 5. Okay,
Just for keeping players' perspective.
Neil, the 2 most important players for them is Ruben Neves, of course, who was had the number 1 XG in the Premier League in the midfield last season, led them to the second best defense in the league, actually. And their goalkeeper, Jose Sarr, we voted as the Premier League.
Yeah.
We voted him in our team when we did the Premier League first 11. And he prevented a league-leading 8.7 saves per game. And when you look at someone like Alisson in Liverpool, 2.1. So he had 4 more saves per game than Liverpool. That's how hard he was working and what he meant to that team. So what's your thoughts on I'm still giving them a 2 because I just don't think they've done enough. But where would you see them at the moment?
Transfer-wise, I can't really say much because they haven't brought in any credible names. I mean, Nathan Collins from Burnley, but as you guys said, Burnley seems to be selling all their players at the moment. I'd give them a 3, to be honest. If they can hold on to the players that are touted to go to other teams, then yeah, I'd give them a 3. Looking at Sarr compared to Alisson, you've got to remember that Alisson has a better front line in front of him than Sarr has. So Sarr's had to work harder because he's got weaker front guys in front of him.
So, Drew, what's your thoughts on Wolves?
I'm going to be like Darren. I'm going to sit completely on the fence about this. They've kept, though, the most important players to the team.
Yeah,
they've got rid of a lot of chaff that they don't need. If they lose Neves, then it's a drastically lower score than what I'm going to give. I would say a 5 though, because they've kept hold of the best players for every position in that squad.
Like you say, if Cody and Neves were to go, then they've got a big problem.
Yeah,
yeah.
Agree.
Although they might not though this season, because I genuinely think even without them, I think there would be 5 weaker teams in the Premiership comfortably. Even if they were to lose a couple of their best players, I think there's 5, maybe 6 teams definitely weaker.
Tillman is a very good player.
Yeah.
So we go to number 16 on our list for transfer this summer, and it's Fulham. And look, the last time they were promoted to the Premier League, they signed an entire team worth of players. They signed 11 players.
It didn't help them, did it?
It didn't. But they have a lot of people think that they're going to pretty much do well. I'm going to give them a 5. I'm going to give them a 5. They've got Pereira from Man United. Big shout out to you. They've got Kevin Mabroy from Wolfsburg, Mana Solomon from Shakhtar Donetsk. They've got Hayo Pahina from Sporting as well. Yeah. So they've spent about 35 million so far for players. So they've been active. So I expect more from them. So yeah, I'm going to give them a 5. That's a good shout. Andy, do you want to go, or do you want to just go around the clock and let Darren take this one?
Up to you. I don't care.
Yeah. Good. Well, let's get back on track. So, Darren, what's your thoughts on this
one?
Well,
I'm going to give them a 1 purely for parting with money for Andres Pereira. So, because he is Ronaldinho in the summer months of the pre-season, and then he's fucking Ronald McDonald in the season. Yeah. He'll no doubt Ben one in the top corner from pre-season. They'll all be loving it, and then he'll be rubbish in the season. So, but no, I can't claim to know any of these players very well. The fact that they've been quite active is good, so we'll give them a 4 for that. Again, but they did that last time, and I think they went straight down, didn't they?
It didn't save them.
After spending over £100 million. So I don't know these players well enough. I only know Andres Pereira, and I think he's rubbish.
They've learned from their previous endeavours.
Neil, 5th time lucky?
Not sure. To be honest, I mean, Fulham is one of the teams I kind of thought, I called them the yo-yo team. I kind of think that they're probably going to go down, but you never know. They might do
Who's the manager?
this season.
Yeah, I thought it was Scott Parker, but I got that wrong,
No, it's
didn't
not
I?
Parker.
I'm not sure.
Silva, isn't it? The old Everton manager,
Yeah.
Silva.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll
So,
definitely go down then.
I mean, looking at the teams that we've already graded, I think they've done better business than those ones before. So I'm gonna go for a 4.
Yeah, okay, that's
Go
fair
for a
enough.
4.
Because remember, we're moving from worst to first, so you'd expect
Yeah.
the grades to improve. But it's subjective, and you guys obviously have valid opinions. So that's the reason why we had some of the worst teams were getting 5s. So it's really down to your interpretation. Drew, is Mitrovic going to be enough?
Mitrovic will never be enough. He is a donkey, and a donkey with 3 legs at best. He is the worst centre forward I think I've seen in my life.
He broke the championship record last season. He can't.
Yeah, that's a bit harsh.
I mean, this is a record that Kevin Phillips once won, and he wasn't all that in a bag of potato chips.
Yeah, but Mitrovic actually needs to be at a bigger team for him to shine better. I mean,
he was at Newcastle when Newcastle weren't terrible and was still shit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I think he is an absolute Trojan horse. He's got everything that makes him look like he should be absolute top quality. Picture a Mil Heskey, but without the career breaks, is Mitrovic.
So what are you going for, Drew? What are you going for?
I mean, to be fair, they've strengthened the squad. I'll give them that. So for that alone, they get a 4.
Yeah, okay. I've gone 5. You guys have gone 4. Andy, you've got the rear.
Well, Palhinha is someone a little bit about because Spurs, when Mourinho was manager, Spurs were very interested in Palhinha. I don't think Conte was as keen. But I watched a bit of him at Sporting. He's a very good central midfield player. And I'm surprised they got him for 17 million. That's quite a good fee for the kind of figures we were being quoted a year or 2 ago.
If Mourinho was after him, does that mean he's 6'5" and aggressive but shit at football?
Have we just said that Marouane Fellaini was aggressive?
But no, I mean, Palhinha's a decent player, but it's that old thing about whether that will transfer into the intensity of the Premier League. You're never quite sure. It's like Arsenal have got with Fabio Vieira. He's a top-class player, but is he going to cope with the intensity of the Premier League week after week? We'll wait and see. Manor Solomon, I've seen a little bit of, but I think he's a decent player. That could end up, they've got him on loan. That could end up being a decent signing. So I think they've done okay, but I think they'll need to do a lot more between now and the end of the window if they really want to pull clear of the relegation zone. I think Fulham are one of the teams that are in danger. I think if they did a bit more, they could escape it. But right now, I'd say Fulham are sort of a 3rd, 4th from bottom team.
Oh, so you're giving them a 3 or 4?
Well, I think they've done all right, but I think they need to do more. I mean, they've done better than some other teams. I think they've made a couple of good signings, but so I'll give them a 5 in the hope that they do more between now and the end of the window.
Okay, that's fair enough. Same with Mark as me. That's a fair shout. Number 15, guys, is Brentford. Now, look, man, they had a really good season last season. Players in Aaron Hickey. I don't know how that snuck underneath all of. I mean, Arsenal had made 2 inquiries after him, and then Brentford just came in there with 18 million. This guy was supposed to be valued at 40 million. Then he ends up going for 18. They got Keane Lewis Porter from Hull. We got Thomas from Lazio. And they've got Ben Mee from Burnley.
But they've lost Erickson.
Yeah, they lost Dominic Jeffries. They lost Hockenhull, Jorgensen, Christian Erickson. They were unbeaten with Christian Erickson in the team, and O'Connor as well. So they've lost quite a few. But I'm gonna balance this. I'm gonna go for a 5 again. I like the Ben Mee deal from Burnley. I like the Thomas deal from Hull. Aaron Hickey he's going to be a good player. I think they've done all right. I'm going to give them a 5. Darren?
I probably would have gone 5 because they've added to the squad, but the loss of Erickson it brings it down. I'll go 4. I think that loss of Erickson for them is ridiculously bad for them, isn't it? You know, he was the creative hub. He made them tick. So yeah, I'm going to give him a 4.
Neil.
I'm going to give them a 5. I agree that the loss of Ericsson is going to affect them quite a bit. But then Ericsson wasn't really with them for that long, to be honest. And they were doing well without him. The team was pretty strong. Looking at the players that they brought in, I think they've improved. Minus the Ericsson, they've improved their squad. They've got a couple of players that look as if they're going to be future players within the league as well. So I give them a 5.
Drew.
I'm going to give him a 6.5 because they're not quite good enough for a 7, but they've done better than a 6, quite frankly. Yeah. Hickey's a great signing, and from what I understand, Bologna have had yet again more financial troubles. Hence the reason he's gone for a lower price than what he probably was worth. But every one of those players, and I've got a lot of love for Ben Mee. There was rumours that he might actually walk away from football after the Fulham Burnley contract went south. So it's great to see that he's re-signing with a Premiership club, and I think Brentford are the team that he will work best in as well. I think great signings all round, actually. I can't criticise.
Is there any players from Burnley that hasn't come into another team?
Well, basically, what's happened is all of our youth team that we sold to them about a decade ago, like Ben Mee, they've now all left on free transfers by the looks of it and gone to teams back in the Premiership. We've just loaned them the rest of our youth team for next season.
It's going to be as if they haven't left, right?
Haven't they? They've had to slash all the players that were on big money there. They've had to get rid of because they couldn't afford them in the Championship.
Yeah, exactly. Is it Cornet they sold today as well?
I think Cornet, is he going to West Ham?
Yeah, 18.5 I think it was. Which, got to say, when we get round to West Ham, absolute snip. But
so, Andy. Sorry, Drew. Did you give your grade? Did you say 5?
No, I'd say a 6.5.
Oh, 6.
I
That's
think,
nice.
I think they've done good business.
0.5. Don't forget the 0.5.
The 0.5 is all important.
Move on. I think they're 4 good signings. Hickey, Lewis Potter are good players that a lot of teams wanted. Strakosha is, I believe, the goalkeeper. He's a very experienced goalkeeper. And Ben Mee is an experienced and played very well for Burnley last season, even though they ended up going down. So I think they're good signings. Erickson is a problem because obviously their team improved massively when he came in. But I think they've got enough about them to stay up. Although I think they'll be in the bottom half of the table again.
So
I'll give them a 6.
Oh, nice. So we move on to 14th place, and that's Brighton. Now,
I don't know any of these players.
I've never heard of them. I forget. I mean, Porto's the only team I recognise there as well. I can't say I know who the other 2 teams are. I mean, there's money that's exchanged hands. But guys, I got to be honest. I'm probably going to give them a 4, and they probably should have been higher up on this list. They've lost Malumbe to West Brom, Basuma to Spurs, Cochrane. They've lost Dendonka. They've lost Hayden Roberts, Aaron Connolly. They've lost 12 players.
Yeah, they've also lost a very
Kakula.
First choice, apart from Basuma.
I mean, Chelsea haven't signed them yet, but that's been over the last 24 hours. It's been comedy. But
Chelsea has raided their youth team as well.
Yeah. I expect them to just be bad at the moment. Brighton. They've lost their cog. They lost Ben White the year before that, so it's almost like their steel rod, their spine has just been ripped out of the team now. Cochrane, Kakula, Ben White, Basuma. That's your spine gone. So yeah, I'm gonna give them a 4. They're lucky they're not even getting a 3 from me. Dan,
I'm gonna have to go 3 because I don't know any of these people, don't know any of these players, and don't breathe confidence that I'm seeing here. So I can't give them anything more than that, to be honest. And losing Basuma as well. But I mean, Basuma, how United haven't picked him up is ridiculous. But I don't know. real joke. So move on.
Neil.
I'm going to give them a 4. I mean, they've lost a good amount of decent players, to be honest. But Potter always seems to be able to get the best out of players that come in anyway.
He's the one shining light.
Yeah.
Is like, you know, when you see some of these teams, what they're going to do. Frank Lampard, Everton, or you know, as he got there. But Potter for me you can just see that he.
Had Potter decided to leave as well, I'd give him 0.
Game over.
Potter, he'll get the most out of these new players coming in, and I don't think they'll go down.
That's where when I make my judgments for top 4, I always think Spurs have got that manager. It doesn't matter with the signings, great, but you've got that manager, and that's the difference sometimes.
I don't want to go off topic, but Pochettino's just sitting there waiting for somebody to fail, and he'll come straight in. Whether it be Newcastle, whether it be Everton, I think it's going to be Everton. I think Lamps is going to be gone, and then I think Pochettino's going to become. But remember where you heard it here first, guys. Drew, talk to me about Brighton.
I mean, once Cucurella leaves, then they're on a 2, but he hasn't left yet. So they're a 2.5. Mostly because I don't know who any of these players are.
Yeah.
But again,
I told you I didn't know the teams they came from. Forget the bloody players. Except for Porto.
I mean, the thing is, though, Potter has proven he can polish a turd.
Exactly.
So, I mean, we're also in a position. There's a lot of teams like Brighton this year who haven't really improved their squads too much, but they're still better than 3 or 4 other teams in the league. So
the manager just makes them better than the rest of the teams.
I think, to be honest, Potter puts them 13th, 12th kind of in the table, even with the losses that they've experienced. So
I don't see them going down.
They've had a shit window, don't get me wrong, but they're still not a terrible team because of the manager. So, but I'd give them a 2.5 at the moment.
So, Andy, God, they should have been way further down the list. So, Andy, I've just found out that the Libertad team is in Paraguay. That's why I've never heard of them. And the other team, North Shalajad, is Danish. Danish.
Oh, they're Danish.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, as the others have alluded to, for me, Potter is the star at Brighton, basically, and he has the ability to. He's got a system of play which everyone that's there will play in his style and play in his system. And I suspect that if these players are unknown to us, they won't be unknown to Potter. I suspect Potter has done his
research. That's what gives you the confidence, isn't it? You think
exactly
because of his style of play.
I believe that Potter will have done his research and decided that these players can come in and do a job for him in his style. So none of us have heard of them. Well, okay, that doesn't necessarily mean to say that they won't be quite decent. So again, it's difficult to judge, and I think the big problem for Brighton is losing Basuma. I think and obviously that's a benefit for us. But you know, I think to lose him for 25 million when arguably he's your best player, that's a problem. Could be a problem for them. But if they get another midfielder that can do a job, I mean, McAllister that's there is quite a decent player, I think. And so, you know, maybe Potter thinks he can cope. If he can, I certainly don't think Brighton will be in danger of going down. I think they'll be all right. But I think they could do with a forward because I think Morpay's gone, hasn't he?
No, not yet.
Has he not gone?
Sorry.
Yet?
Yeah. Hold on a second. Brighton.
I think.
No, he's not. He's not gone yet. He's not gone yet.
I heard rumours that Morpay might be leaving, but maybe he won't. I don't know. But I thought Morpay had gone. But I think they need a striker. I think they'll do okay. Like you say, there's definitely 3 or 4 worse teams than Brighton out there.
So we move on to number 13, Palace. Now, I'm going to give Palace a 5. They've lost Conor Gallagher, which is huge for them, one of the most productive midfielders last season. But on the flip side of that, the new guy, Malcolm Ebewi from Derby, this guy, I've watched him play. Rooney's been talking him up as well. He's the real deal. He's going to add something to that team. And Patrick Vieira, he's got an eye for talent as well. I'm going to give him a 5. I think they've done okay. They've only lost Jats, Martin Kelly, and Montes, so they haven't lost too many. So I think I'm going to give them a 5. Darren?
I'll go with that as well. They've added some good players there, and I mean Gallagher. That's going to be tough for him, isn't it, to fill that void? So yeah, I'll go with 5 on that one as well.
Neil, Vieira's not afraid to take on players, not afraid to take a chance on players, is he?
No, not at all. He's a good manager like that. He'll give everybody their opportunity to shine or the opportunity to fail. But he has a good plan. Since he's come to Palace, he's had a good plan, and he's done well with the players that he's got. I suppose you've got to trust in his system, right? He's got these new players coming in, and they're probably going to fit in just pretty well. So I'd give them a 4.5 at the moment.
Okay, Drew. Palace building a nice little squad under the Vieira.
I accept losing Gallagher was bad for him in terms of he's a player that gives 110% every time he's on the field. He's continually a 7.5 out of 10 rating as a player for me. But I mean, everyone they've brought in is either a direct improvement on what they had, bar obviously Gallagher not being there, or within the next season, it's going to improve that squad. I mean, Doucouré from Lens, he is a very, very good player.
He is.
Richards, the lad from Bayern Munich.
Quality.
Absolute quality. And you know when you're buying someone from the Bayern Munich academy, even if they've not made it in Bayern Munich, there's going to be one or two reasons why. And it's one of those cases where there's no direct route to the first team. But then you look at the Bayern Munich first team, you can see why for certain players there isn't a direct route there.
Exactly.
So
it's hard to get into.
Yeah, he's a talent. And if honestly buying players from Germany when they're young, apart from Serge Gnabry at Arsenal a few years back, it doesn't normally backfire. So
I can smell a 6 or a 7 coming on it.
But Sam Johnson though, again, an amazingly good signing. So
he is.
Yeah, I'm going to give him about a 7.
Yeah,
I think they've had a great window.
Yeah, I thought so. Andy, top that one, mate.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Drew. I think about 7. I like Doucouré. I think that's a good signing. And I think if there's a player that will get the best out of him, then it's a manager. Sorry, it's Vieira. Is the right man to get the best out of Doucouré. Rich is a good signing. Sam Johnson's excellent goalie was also linked with Spurs before we went for Forster as the backup to Lloris. Again, Rooney has to. I mean, I obviously live in just north of Derby, so I know a bit about Ebewi. And there's a lot, talk within the game is that he's got a big, promising future in front of him. So I think they've gone to, these young, gifted players have gone to the right manager in Vieira. I've got a lot of time for Vieira. I still think he'll be Arsenal manager within 12 months. I still don't rate Arteta. You can say what you like about him. I still think Arsenal's problem is not so much their team, it's their manager. But I could be proved wrong. Maybe Arteta will prove me wrong.
I'm a big fan of Arteta Ball. I'm a big fan of Arteta.
We'll see who's right at the end of the year. But yeah, I mean, I'll give Palace a 7.
Okay, next, number 12 on the list is Manchester United. Darren's going to elaborate for us a little bit. For me, they've lost 12 players. You can see the players that they brought up there, which Darren actually will introduce them. But they've lost Devine, Mata, Lingard, Pogba, Grant, Cavani, Henderson, Melo, Pereira, Levitt, and Martin Skivitsky. They've lost 12 players. I'm going to give them a 5 because I do like the Christian Eriksen. I love the Lisandro Martinez deal. Absolutely love that. Although they paid double the amount that he was supposed to be going for originally, Ajax just had fun with it. £20 million player, and as soon as it started going into silly money, teams started pulling out. And that's a hell of a lot to play. Because for Arsenal, he was only going to be a backup to Tierney. So I don't know whether is he worth 50 million. I'm not sure, but I love Christian Eriksen. As I said, Brentford were unbeaten with him in the
Who's
team.
going to be a backup to Tierney? Martinez wasn't going to be a backup for Tierney, was he?
Yes, he was. He was.
What?
So what we've done is we've got Zinchenko instead, who can back up Tierney, and he can also play in the midfield. So that's what they've done on that deal. And he was far less cheaper. He only cost 30 million. Darren, shed some light on this for us.
I mean, I think if you look on the face of it and all the media stuff and all that crap that they ramp up, and we're not going to do anything with this, they'll probably give us like a 2 or a 3. However, I look at it from a different point of view. Is I'm probably going to go for a 6 right now, and the reason why is purely because of all the names you've said that have gone, which may not have needed to do so desperately, which we've struggled to do for so long, is get rid of people on big contracts, get rid of the Pogba circus, get rid of the older players that are just sapping the club of money. Which
you've still got one circus going on at the moment, haven't you?
Yeah, it is. So that's why it's probably a 6 now, and then maybe in a month's time, you never know, Ronaldo moves on, and hopefully a couple of other players come in, we can move it more. But what those 3 players are players that he wants, the players that he knows he wants, and it's for his project. And we've not just gone like Dybala went to Roma. We've not just gone thrown money at Dybala like the old United would have done. So we've got rid of some deadwood. We've brought in players that he wants. And like I said to you at the back end of last year, all I'm looking for is progression. I'm looking for a style of play. I'm looking for a group of players that want to play for the manager, that respect the manager, that there's no leaks in the club anymore, and they're all pulling in one direction. And look, I probably still think we're going to finish 6th or 7th, but because of the teams ahead of us are along their journey a lot further. But if I see that, then I'll be pretty happy. So at the moment, I'm going to give it a 6 at the moment, and then give it a month's time. Hopefully Ronaldo goes out the door. Hopefully De Jong comes in. If not De Jong, maybe Neves. And then and maybe a striker as well. If we can get this young striker that we're talking about. I mean, I don't know if he's going to be great in the league. Again, it's another league. You never know. I'll be pretty happy with that window, I think.
So Neil, they need one more centre back, don't they, Neil?
They do. I mean, I'm looking at the team, and to be honest, I mean, looking at the players that they got coming in for a start, I mean, Christian Eriksen for me, that's the military coup of the century in my view, and he will improve that team a lot. For me, I've got to give them a 6. I would give them more had they got rid of Ronaldo, let him go, because he clearly doesn't want to play for them.
Actually, my one major concern is we have to go into the new season with a new central midfielder, and if we don't, we still start McFred, then I'm very concerned.
That was going to be Drew's question, so I'll let Neil finish, and then I'll ask the question to Drew.
Yeah, I was going to say, so if they get rid of Ronaldo, because even if he does stay, I can't see him pulling his weight. He's very professional, but he's 37 now, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's 37 now, so he's not going to get the game time under Ten Hag, in my view. He will get important games, but he
wants to play Champions League football. His clock's ticking. He wants to be on the big light. So he's kind of politely thrown his toys out of the pram at the moment, and that can cause a lot of disruption across the team at the moment. United are better off just saying, just go, so we can carry on building and moving forward, because he's not going to take them forward, even though he's still one of the best players that they've got at this moment in time. Yeah. So what's your grade?
Sorry, 6. If they had got rid of Ronaldo, I would have given them a 7.
Okay,
but
good. That's very good.
Moment.
That's very good. Drew, they've got all these players, and they are nice players, but none of them are positions that they actually need. I mean, they need a central midfielder, they need a right back, and they need a striker.
I think United needed both fullbacks replacing, quite honestly. And the Dutch lad, he is very good. And I think it's a very good price for him as well. I think they've taken care, actually, of their central midfield amongst those players already. Well, part of the central midfield problem. There's no way that Ten Hag is going to be playing Martinez as a centre-back in the Premiership.
That's what I thought, yeah.
I think he's going to be a midfield wrecking ball for United. I mean, he's 5'7". He's actually shorter than Fabio Cannavaro, who was a very good centre back. But did Fabio Cannavaro play in the Premiership against absolute mountainous strikers on a regular basis? So, but I think Martinez has all the abilities, and he did actually play in midfield quite regularly for Ajax. So,
yeah,
I can see Ten Hag turning that to his advantage, and then it's just who do you get rid of, Fred or McTominay? Still get rid of both, actually, but I can see him going into that role, and obviously Erickson is a great signing. So I'd give United a 6 at the moment. Get rid of Ronaldo, goes up to a 6.5. More cover at centre back. This could be actually a really good window for them if they take the next 3 weeks and get the right players in. This could be a very good window for United.
Do you think we're getting De Jong, guys? Or is that Andy's question?
I think you're getting. He wants to go United. Nobody else is coming for him because of that.
Well, I don't know if he does want to go to United, or if he just wants to give me 17 million quid.
Yeah, my question for Andy is, obviously, it's Christian Eriksen. As I said, this guy has gone under the radar. They haven't had the playmaker in the midfield like that since Paul Scholes. What's he going to do at United, Andy?
Well, I've got a slightly different take on this. I mean, everyone else's comments have been generally positive. I think United have, I think they've got a bit of a problem at the moment, to be honest. They've solved some of their problems, getting rid of Pogba and Mata and Lingard, and they've got rid of some people they needed to get rid of, which is good. I think that's progress. And they've brought in some. I think Malacia is a good signing. Ericsson's an interesting one because basically he wanted to go to Spurs, and basically Conte said no. Basically, Erickson wanted a guarantee of game time, and Conte wasn't going to give that to him. And so Erickson chose to go to United. But United want De Jong. And if they've got De Jong, I don't see Erickson starts at United either. Good but point. What he will do is I believe he'll be able to influence games from the bench. I don't see Erickson starting every week for United. Maybe he'll play. If they don't get De Jong, then Erickson probably will play fairly regularly. But if they do get,
Sorry, I don't get what he's agreeing with you. He's agreeing with you.
Right.
Yeah, but you say that though. But all of these top teams have players throughout the squad. There's going to be 5 subs, and Man City have players coming out of their arseholes, like in terms of top 4 players. And Liverpool, like you need to have these backup players. You can't.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking. Ericsson's a wonderful player. I watched him, and he did some fantastic stuff for Spurs. Did great stuff at Inter Milan. He's does great stuff for Denmark. He's a fantastic player. Was brilliant at Brentford at the end of last season. I'm not saying that Ericsson's not a great player. He is. What I'm saying is, if United want to start competing at the top end again, is Erickson the player you really wanted? And I don't think
this is what I'm saying: perception versus reality. You got to scrap the Ferguson years and go. No, I'm sorry, that's not what we're talking about now. We are talking about how can we get a group of players to go in fucking one direction, get maybe 5th or 6th, build right next season, build. similar to what Klopp did for over. I know we always keep
Yeah,
harping on
it's
that.
what Arteta's
Klopp did
doing
over
and
5
Edu
years.
now.
Arteta's trying to do the same thing. Arsenal.
Yeah.
Everyone, all the media are going to go, "Oh, Man United, Ferguson, well, we won the league every year. We need to do it now. It needs to happen now." And that is
No,
always
you have to build. You have to build the
Right,
team.
Sorry,
always
guys,
build the team.
guys, we haven't got to the top 10 yet, so I've got to speed up. So Andy, what's your grade for United?
Right now, I would say 4.
Okay. Chelsea, guys. I don't know. These guys are all over the place, man. Look, I'm just going to give them a 5 and try and. I mean, I like Raheem Sterling, Koulibaly. I mean, they've Amari Hutchinson from Arsenal. He's a really, really good talent. They have done some good business, guys. There's no two ways about it. But for me, some of these feel like desperate buys. Some of these just feel like desperate because the owners have got to make a statement. I don't think this team's going to be great. I really don't. They've got so much players, 3 or 4 players who want to leave. Timo Werner's one of them. They don't want to play for the club. They're not committing to the manager. He knows it. He's actually said so in the conference. And they're just too much. They said, but we're not judging them on that. We're just judging them on the transfer business. And I think that they bought well, but I'm going to give them a 5, but maybe a 6. But because I do like the Amari Hutchinson deal and the Koulibaly still, there's some really good players. Yeah, I'm going to go for a 6. 6 out of 10 for this one. Darren?
I think Raheem Sterling is an absolutely amazing signing, and I can't for the life of me understand why Man City have let him go. Maybe he pushed the door maybe he knocked on the door too much for Pep to say like have to play every game. Koulibaly, yeah, top signing for me. What lets them down is their whole defense is gone pretty much. Like 3 of them.
Rudiger.
I mean, Rudiger was an absolute stalwart last year, so that probably brings them down a bit. Because on the face of what you've shown me here, I'm thinking, yeah, some good players there. But when you consider what's happened to the back four, you go into. I think Chelsea got one of the biggest question marks this year. They could either go amazingly or tank massively, but again, the manager's good enough. So I'm going to go for a 5. I think 4.5. I think because of those defenders leaving. But I like the signings.
Neil, they've done the same thing Man United have done and a couple of other teams, losing 12 players. Lukaku, McLean, Rudiger,
Oh, that's
Bergstrom,
a good thing. Actually,
Wade,
5 then. 5. Those are 5.
Christensen. They did not like him at all, man. Drinkwater.
Yeah, I mean, they've lost a lot of decent players. They brought a couple of players in. I do like Sterling, obviously. Koulibaly, I think he's a great player. And they've also brought in. Well, there's mention of that at the moment, but that hasn't happened.
They're talking to him at the moment, yeah.
I'm going to talk about it, don't worry.
Yeah.
I hear they've also brought Tree up front to replace.
They've also brought in a brilliant young left back from the youth team of Brighton, but I'm not going to mention his name because it's not official yet. So on what they've done so far, I'd give them 5.5.
That's fair. Drew?
I am going to mention this left back from Brighton because I do rate Cucurella. I think he's very, 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 very good.
No, I was talking about the youth one.
Oh, they're bringing in 2 left back.
They've got a youth, and he's a pretty good player.
They need to keep this quiet though, because every time they do announce that they're signing someone, there's a certain Spanish team that doesn't have money but seems to have millions and millions does seem to come and sign them. But why are they going after Cucurella when they already have Ben Chilwell? Ben Chilwell is actually a better left back than Cucurella. Yeah. And I also think Alonso's a better left back than Cucurella.
Yeah, but the owners have to show the fans that they're willing to spend money and do business.
I mean, they've just spent 47.5 million on Raheem Sterling, which, quite frankly,
that's not big money. Come on, man. The way Chelsea used to spend as well. I mean, what's the name of Abramovich? He just used to leak money out of his pockets, didn't he? When he first came in.
We all know this, but I mean, Sterling does improve the team, but buying a player who covers a position where you have 2 better players already, I mean, that seems almost like Barcelona ball.
Yeah, we don't know what the owners are actually thinking, but we just know that they're just trying to show the fans that they're there. They're going to improve the team. They're going to bring decent players in. Whether the players are better than the players they've already got, we'll have to
I'm
see.
going to be honest. I don't think they're improving our team. It's like I obviously love Raheem Sterling. I think Sterling is brilliant. Do I think Raheem Sterling is going to have as good a season at Chelsea as what he'd been producing on a regular basis at City, though?
No, I don't
No, I
think
could
so.
picture
You
him
can't
being in
compare
that.
the two teams, though. You can't really compare the two teams. In
Well,
my
no, you
view.
can't compare the two
Well, it's
teams.
the
But this is
it's
one
the
of the
player.
reasons why I think Raheem Sterling is
Yeah.
going to struggle at Chelsea.
Yeah,
I
agree.
don't think Chelsea are going to allow him to play the style of football that he needs to play to be the best version of himself. I think Raheem Sterling is going to look like another Hakim Ziyech. We'll see absolute wonders of quality from him, but I don't think he's going to be as good a player as what he's been at Liverpool and City so far in his career. I'd
That's fine.
give Chelsea a
We'll
4
take
just
him
because I
back.
think they've lost.
So you give them a
We'll take
4. Andy.
Okay, here we go. I've been I did quite a lot on looking at Chelsea earlier. As Tony's put a couple of things up while we've been talking, but Aubameyang is being mooted as a potential Chelsea incoming, and I'm like, when I first heard it earlier today, I was like, is someone having a laugh? He was captain of Arsenal 6 months ago. He's going to go to Chelsea via Barcelona. I thought, surely that can't be true. But then the more you start looking into it, Barcelona have to get some players off their books. They've bought in Lewandowski, which might reduce Aubameyang's playing time. But when you really start looking into it, Aubameyang scored 79 goals in 95 appearances under Tuchel for Borussia Dortmund. That's where he made his name, and that's what prompted Arsenal to go and buy him. And so there is a much stronger connection with Tuchel than people might have realised. And I think that is a possibility that might happen. I still think it would be amazing if it did. And I don't know how Arsenal fans would feel about it. But I still think that's a strange one. They've also bought Carney Chukwuemeka from Aston Villa today. I heard 20 million. Tony's just put up there's 15 plus 5 in add-ons. But he's only 19. I wouldn't expect him to feature that often in Chelsea's team this season. But that's a great signing for the future. But the other thing with Chelsea is they've brought in Sterling and Koulibaly, who are 2 fantastic players, no question about it. But the crucial thing for me is out the door have gone Rudiger and Lukaku. Is Sterling better than Lukaku?
Yes.
Don't think so.
In the Premiership, yes.
In the
Can I
Premiership,
just say one
maybe.
thing, sorry, about Koulibaly? Great signing 5 years ago.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying. Koulibaly is now 31.
Yeah.
Never played in the Premier League before, replacing arguably the best centre-back in the Premier League of the last couple of seasons in Rudiger.
Oh, yeah. No, I think he's a terrible signing, quite honestly, just because of his age. And he's never played at this level.
What I'm saying is Koulibaly is a great defender, or certainly was. Is he going to be a fantastic cope with the intensity of the Premier League? I don't know. He might, and if he does, he's got the quality. But I think that's going to be a problem. But I see what Tony just put up. Aubameyang
He's not leaving Barcelona. He's not leaving Spain.
But it depends who they're going to force out the door. I mean, they're trying to force De Jong to accept a much lower salary, aren't they? That's part of the problem.
So, Andy, your grade for Chelsea?
You what?
Your grade for Chelsea?
Chelsea, I think they're going to do big, because I think if they bring in Fofana, which I think they will, and Cucurella, which looks possible, then that makes a big difference. That strengthens their team enormously. Right now, I'd only give them a 4, but I think if they could easily strengthen with the kind of money they've got, Chelsea could finish the window strongly.
So, guys, as you know, I'm trying to rush, so please help me and keep your answers as short as you can. Because we've gone an hour and we've still got 10 to go, so I'm going to try and rush as quickly as I can. Southampton, guys, for me, they've made some really good improvements. You can see the names that are down there. Some really good players as well. Spent a decent amount of money, 40 million. I'm going to give them a 6.5. Darren?
I don't know any of them. Confessions, I'm going to have to go 5 or 6. We'll go 6. I'll take
Bazuna, Man City. Bazuna, Man City.
Yeah.
Don't watch that scum.
A robot from Rangers.
Sorry, we're too busy actually winning trophies these days for United.
Yeah, they're too busy winning trophies. Buying trophies, I mean winning trophies.
You're great.
Oh, like United never brought a...
Move on. Neil, move on.
I'm going to give him a 5. Going to give him a 5. Trying to keep it short and sweet, as he said.
Okay, Drew.
Right. It's been good business. Bazunu, very, very, very talented keeper. He's had to move on because of what we've got in front of him. But he's going to be a great signing for Southampton, so I'm going to give him a 6.
Okay, Andy.
4. I think Southampton are going to be in a relegation fight this year.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
They're close. Most seasons, they're close to that anyway. At some time in the season, they kind of drop down that way, don't they?
I think they'll survive, but I can't see them being in the top half of the table.
So, guys, number 9 is West Ham. Now, I thought they had a really good start to the season. They were shocking everybody because everyone thought they were going to finish 4th, and they fell away. But, man, they got a big striker. They've got the striker they've been looking for years. They still have Antonio, but Scamacca is, this guy was rated 70, 80 million at the beginning of the transfer season. And now they have a big, strong striker who can score goals, some scary goals if you guys haven't seen what he's been able to do. I think this is a good window for West Ham. They've got Aurelio as well from PSG, great buy. I'm gonna give him. They've got Oren from Rennes. I thought that's at Rennes. He's a really good player. I'm gonna give them a 7. Darren.
I don't watch enough football, because I don't know any of these players ever. Yeah, the fact that they got a striker in was what they desperately needed. So yeah, I'm going to go for a 7 as well.
Neil.
Yeah, they needed a change up front. I'm still looking at some of these names. I mean, I think they've done well this season so far, and there's still plenty of days left in the window. So I'll give them a 6.5.
Drew.
Everyone they've brought in so far fits the plan of how Moyes wants to play. Scamacca's a very, very, very good target. He can finish, but it's not the big part of his game. I'd honestly give him an 8 right now. I think they've had a great window, and I think it's going to get better over the next few days.
And Andy?
I think Scamacca was a good signing, and I think it was one they needed. I'm not sure how prolific he's going to be in the Premier League, but I certainly think he'll help with Moyes' tactical play. I think having that target there, I think it means that possibly Antonio could drop a bit or play off a wide position maybe. But it also means that if Antonio's injured, they've still got a target man up there, which they had a problem before with Antonio's injuries, that when he was injured, they were struggling a bit. If you put Scamacca in there with Bowen and Antonio, that could be quite a strong forward powerhouse.
It looks like Cornet as well.
Scamacca will probably do better than Mitrovic anyway. So
he hasn't. Yeah, I'm not sure if he's signed yet, but I think he will be good. But the other thing is, Aguero's got injured already. The guy they paid £30 million for Rennes, I think he's already out injured, and I don't know how long for. But,
I think he's out for 3 weeks. I think it's 3 weeks.
Oh, okay, all right. Yep. Yeah, go on.
So guys,
I'll give him a 6.
A 6, excellent. So guys, Leeds, I've got a lot of friends who are Leeds fans, and they lost 2 of their best players in Calvin Phillips and Rafina, but they're using the money well, guys. You can see they've got Brendan Orson from Salzburg, 25 million. Roca, good deal from Bayern Munich.
Yep. Good player.
Again, Yabi from Man City, 5 million. Drew will talk about that. Sinestra from Feyenoord, 22 million. That's a good deal. They've done some really good. I'm going to give them a solid 7. I think Leeds have done really well, guys. That's why they're 8th on this list. Darren.
Again, not a favourite of a lot of these names, but the losses for me stand out. So And these are obviously just gambles until they're proven. So I'm going to go 5.
Neil?
I'm going to give them 7. I think they've got a couple of good buys. They're definitely going to miss out on the players that they've lost during the transfer window. But I think they'll do well enough to stay out of the relegation battle.
And Drew, talk to us about the Man City prospects that they've got.
Right. So first and foremost with Leeds, they made the best out of 2 players. One who didn't cost them anything, one who cost them very little. They made huge profit, and they've invested it really, really well. I mean, the EDS guys. I mean, I don't watch a lot of City EDS football, if I'm honest, because it's a pain in the ass because of the times it's on. I can't be asked to watch football at 12 o'clock on a Saturday. I'm still busy nursing a hangover most of the time. But from what I've heard, top quality. But again, another young Bayern Munich lad coming into the squad. Good signing. Jesse Marsch knows European football. So I think everything they've done in this window so far, even the players I know less about, I think they've done well. I'm going to give them a 7.
Andy, they sold Rafinha for 50 million and they sold Calvin Phillips for 42 million. That's just over 90 million. Guess what? Work out how much the cost is of all these players they brought in. 90 million. They've used the money well, Andy.
Well,
Is it?
it would appear on the surface they've used the money well. They've used the money. But I remember Spurs using the Bale money to buy 7 players and didn't do very much with it. And so it's what these players can produce in terms of replacing Phillips and Rafinha. Because let's face it, Phillips and Rafinha are 2 fantastic players for Leeds. Rafinha in particular would get them out of jail time and time again. Actually scored the goal that kept them up. So that's I believe they've got good money for those 2 players, but also we don't know how well these guys are going to be in the Premier League. What I will say is that the majority of them have come from Germany. The 2 Salzburg lads, the guy from Bayern Munich, and Marsch knows that league. And so I suspect he's identified players that he knows will fit his style and his system. I expect Leeds will have enough to stay up, but I still think they'll be bottom half of the table. But I've obviously got a connection with Leeds because my missus is Leeds, so hopefully they'll be fine. So I'll give them a 6.
Excellent. So I think this is my highest grade so far, which is a 7. So in 7th place, Nottingham Forest guys, I'm going to give them a 7. Now, they came up via the playoffs, so they didn't have automatic promotion. But some of the names they've got, Dean Henderson on loan from United. They got 2. Yeah. They've got some really good Jesse Lingard. I mean, they've got some, Ryan Hammond. They've got some really good buyers. Bescone from 5 million. Nicole Williams from Liverpool for 16 Williams, as you've just said. I mean, they've got some really, really decent players. I think they've had, and obviously Omar Richards from Bayern Munich. I think they've had a really good window, and I think they've transformed that squad. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Remember when we said Fulham bought a whole team and it didn't help them? Well, they bought a whole team. So I think they've done well in the market. Whether it translates to them staying up or not, we don't know. Darren?
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, Henderson's a really good goalkeeper. Definitely deserved more of a chance at United for more of his feet, ball at the feet, play, distribution, and commanding of the back 4. So I like that one. Jesse Lingard's got it in him, as we see at West Ham, to be an absolute well beater, especially for teams that potentially could be playing on the break. So and I think Nico Williams, he was decent for Liverpool, wasn't he, when he played?
Yeah, he was
Where did he
decent.
play again? Where did he play?
He didn't get enough. He didn't get enough.
I see him a few times, maybe in the cup.
Yeah, he didn't get enough. He didn't get enough games. Unfortunately,
so I'm going to give that an 8 as well, because I think there's some good players in there.
Cool K's just said Erwan has scored 15 goals in the Bundesliga last season. Neil? he's going to give them some cutting edge up front.
Oh, definitely. I mean, to be honest, I didn't watch much of Forest last season, but the games I did watch, I was pretty impressed with the team that they've got. Bringing in these additional players, it's only going to improve them. This is the one team that I think is not going to go straight back down.
I agree.
Definitely not. Definitely.
Henderson's got to play well, though, isn't he?
Henderson will play well.
He's got to play well now.
So was Lingard.
Lingard. I mean, you look at a lot of the players that have come in. Nico Williams as well. They've all got something to prove, and I think what they'll do is they'll use Forest as a stepping stone to show what they could have produced for the teams that they were previously at. I'm going to give Forest a 7 because I think they've done really good business.
Yeah, so we got quite a few 7s popping up here. Drew, talk to me. It's a good summer for them.
Right. If not for Steve Cooper, I would say this is Fulham 2.0. But Cooper is that good a manager.
Yeah.
In the same league as Potter, I'd put it as an 8 because I genuinely think he will get the best out of every signing he's brought in.
Exactly.
The only player I can see being a headache for him would probably be Lingard because apparently it's going to be J-Lings on his shirt, which great. You're doing your social media brand as your fucking club shirt. Nice work.
Also, but the thing is, when the manager came in, they were literally struggling. When he came in, they shot up. They improved significantly.
Largely using the core squad of players that were already at that team as well.
Exactly, and he still got them. He still got the majority of them. So he's only improved the squad.
Yeah, I could see them finishing around 10th. To be honest, like Neil said, they're the promoted team who I don't think are going to have a problem. To be honest, I don't think they'd have got relegated without all the signings that they've made because I genuinely rate Cooper that highly. So I'd give him an 8 just because he will get the best out of this team and everyone he's brought in.
So Andy, this is our 7th place team. So you'd expect some of the scores to be really high now, and this is the first one that we've seen that the average score is pretty good. Where are you going with this, Andy?
Where are you getting these grades from? Like 7th place? Where has that come from?
From me.
Oh, you've decided.
I spent 4 days typing this up, so
okay.
So that we could
give the man a 10. Give the man a 10 for his effort.
So we could sleep through it quickly, but we've just enjoyed each other's company as we always do.
I think Forest have done extremely good business, and like Drew was saying, the big thing for Forest is Steve Cooper is an excellent coach, and he knows what he's doing, and I think for that reason, Forest have the best chance of the promoted clubs of staying up. If you add that to the business they've done, they've bought some good players. They've brought some experience in, like Henderson, Lingard, people like that. They've got young talent, great young talent, Awaniyi, and one or two of the other lads. The thing's gone off the screen now, so I can't see it. But that they've bought well. Oh, Nico Williams from Liverpool. These are good buys. Good players that have got experience of playing at good level football. I think Forest could do like a sort of a Brentford or a Sheffield United. I think they'll do all right. It will still be a struggle for them because it always is for promoted clubs. But I think Forest have done very well, and I would give their business an 8.
I think they'll do a Brentford, like when Brentford first came.
So we moved to the team in 6th place. Now it's a bit of a conundrum for me because I gave Forest a 7. And I think that Newcastle is probably a 7 as well. But they bought so well. I mean, they're adding proven quality to this squad, and quite frankly, I'm concerned about them. We already know that their wealth is you're talking about a team that's 23 times bigger than Manchester City, and there's some little stipulations that they're not allowed to spend that money because of the new rule they had with the takeover. So they've only capped them at a certain amount of money per year, and that's only for the first 3 years.
Do their owners not sponsor them as well?
No,
Okay.
and again, it's contractual, so they can't get out of that contract. But before for the deal to go through, they had to sign a waiver to say they can only spend a certain amount of money in the first 3 years. So that's just stopped them just from running away with it. But I like what they've done. I'm going to give them a 7. I'm hot on their players. I like Taggart from Villa. I thought that's a good buy. Pope from Burnley, solid. Botman is a quality buy from Lille for 32 million. Darren.
Yeah, no, I agree. Some solid Premiership quality there. There's nothing silly, no silly buys with all that money sort of thing that is still going down the rhetoric of proven Premiership quality. And then it's a decent player. So yeah, I'll give it a 7 as well.
Neil?
Yeah, I agree. I'll give it a 7. I think that Matt Targett, I like him. I think he's a brilliant player. Nick Pope, obviously, that's another Burnley player. I think the whole of the old Burnley team are actually back in the Premiership with different teams, right? That's what it feels. That's what it feels like. Yeah, that's what it feels like. Burnley is still in the Premiership.
I'm just looking for Sean Dyche to be on this list.
Maybe he might take over Everton. You never know.
you never know. That could end up being that. But yeah, I think they've done pretty well. I still not the fact that they haven't spent silly money kind of shows that they are capped on what they've got to spend, and that's what I've been kind of saying all along, that they haven't got the money that everybody thinks they've got available. And looking at the amount of money that they're spending out at the moment on certain players, you kind of agree. I mean, the amount of money everybody thought, why would they go for a player for 350k? You know what I mean? It's kind of questionable, but that's another thing. But I'll give them a 7.
Drew, I like it, Drew. I like it.
I mean, Sven Botman, great signing. Absolutely brilliant signing. Matt Targett on a full-time contract, absolutely brilliant signing. Nick Pope, absolutely brilliant signing. The 2 younger lads I know less about, I'll admit that, but every piece of business has been very deliberate, very meticulous in the way they've put the deals together. They've genuinely improved their squad. And I was talking to some friends at work about this earlier. With the signings they made in January, plus the signings they've made this summer, I think Nick Pope might be up there in the Golden Glove conversation this season.
Really?
Because Newcastle made some huge leaps defensively. We tanked them, but that was going for like phase where City were tanking everyone. But Newcastle became a very difficult team to beat towards the end of the season. So I'll give them a 7, but when they get the Maddison deal over the line in the next few days, they're an 8.
Okay.
When they get who over the line?
Sorry?
When they get who over the line?
Madison.
When they will get Maddison over the line in the next few days.
Well, ahead of Spurs?
I think so.
I think we're trying to get Maddison as well.
Why would Maddison go to a team that's already got 3 or 4 players ahead of him in his position?
He wants to play. I understand that Maddison wants to go to Spurs, but at the moment, Spurs aren't prepared to pay what Newcastle are. That's the only issue.
He's going to end up in Newcastle then. The thing is, Newcastle have spent wisely so far, so they still have money in the bank to spend more.
You see, if Maddison plays it cute, he'll just refuse to go to Newcastle. And then they're going to be left with a problem at Leicester in that having a player that doesn't want to be there when they could sell him for 10 million less to Spurs.
So, guys,
that's what you're hoping for, yeah.
Sorry, Andy, you've got to give your grade.
I'll give Newcastle a 7.
Okay, so guys, it's a top 5 now, so we're moving into the crux of who are the top 5 in the Premier League transfer window teams. Number 5 is going to be Aston Villa for me. Steven Gerrard is just continuing to do a fantastic job. Diego Carlos from Sevilla, 26 million, great buy. Coutinho, 17 million, Barcelona. Olsen from Roma. They got Kamara from a free. I think I'm going to go 7.5 with this one. I really like their window. Darren.
The fact that they've kept Coutinho is very good. Again, I'm not a favourite of a lot of the others. I just don't watch enough of the European football, I guess. So, I'll go for a 7 just based on Coutinho's a great player to have on your side.
Yeah. Neil.
Yeah, I like Diego Carlos. Obviously, for Coutinho from his old Liverpool days. I think they've done really well this season. This window. I'll give them a 7.
Drew, they've just signed smartly, haven't they?
I mean, I hadn't seen the full list of players actually until just now of who Villa resigned, but everything's been a shrewd deal.
Yeah.
There's not a massive headline grabbing deal, but everything's been smart and everything improves that team. So I'd have to give them a 7.5. I think they've done a really good job in this window.
Agreed. Andy?
Carlos is a strong signing. Coutinho was obviously there last year, but they've made it permanent, which is good. Olsen's a decent backup. And Kamara, I think that the one that they've done really, really well is to get Kamara from Marseille on a free. That's a really, really good piece of business. So they haven't overpaid for everybody. Everybody they've got has been good value and good quality. So you'd have to say that I think they maybe want to do 1 or 2 more, but I'd give them a solid 7.
Excellent. So we go to number 4, and you guys, we've got Man City, Arsenal, Spurs, and Liverpool left, and we're all sitting around the table. So number 4, guys, is going to be Liverpool. Now, look, if you lose someone like Sadio Mane, it's never good news. But the fact that they went and got Diego, they got Jota to deal with that before the problems even started, I think they've done extremely well to get Nunes, to get Fabio Cavallo from Fulham for 7 million.
That was a good buy. That was a great buy.
Ramsey's talented from Aberdeen. I think I'm gonna go with 7.5 for Liverpool. Darren.
I think the buys are great. I do think the buys are really good. Obviously, probably bought another gem there in Carvalho for cheap. It wouldn't surprise me if he was a big name in a few years. However, Sadio Mane, not just for goals, was so much more than goals, and I've just got a funny feeling that they might find it difficult to bridge that gap that he gave in the team, because he wasn't just goals. He'd play anywhere, he'd do anything for the team. He was technically sound, energetic, scored important goals as well. So I'm going to give him a 7. It would have been higher if it wasn't for that loss. I really do think that's going to be a big loss.
So Tony says Coutinho 5 goals, 3 assists, totally overrated. Yeah, but it's what he is right in a sense, but it's what he does off the ball as well. He's really transformed that team. Yeah. Cool K saying, why 7.5, Apollo? Well, Neil, I'm going to let Neil answer that for you, because from my perspective, Liverpool have shifted 16 players. That's more than any team in the Premier League. They've got rid of, when you consider that you only allowed 25 players on your roster, they've got rid of 16 players.
Yeah, a lot of those players have gone out on loan. I mean, let's break it down. Players that come in, Nunes, Carvalho, and Ramsey, great players for the future. I'm still waiting. I think Carvalho will do well in the Prem. Ramsey, we'll have to see. As I said, he's a player for the future. Nunes, we'll have to see how well he adapts to the Premier League. I mean, what we've seen of him so far, especially getting the City warm-up game, he did really well. But then again, in the United warm-up game, he missed a sitter. So we'll have to see how that translates as the games go on. But with Nunes, Liverpool have actually now got a player that they've always needed, that they've never had, haven't had for a long time, which is a proper goal poacher. And that's the difference between him and obviously Mane, who's gone out, where Mane's been more solid. He's more around the build-up play, and he can finish as well. We know that Nunes is more going to be around the finishing rather than the build-up play. So he's going to have to lean more on the other players around him, especially from midfield. We're definitely going to miss Sadio Mane. I wasn't the happiest person when he left, but we've got.
I remember when I
move
told
on.
you the day it happened, and you said, "No,
Yeah.
Apollo, he's not
Yeah,
going anywhere."
With Liverpool though, which is so frustrating, is what we said about earlier about Brighton and Potter. Is the one magic man is that man Jurgen Klopp. Like, I mean, these players, just the manager for me breeds confidence. He knows what he's doing. You know it'll work. You know he'll find a formula for it. And the same with Pep. You know they'll find formulas for it. And,
I mean,
and that's the most fucking frustrating thing that they're piss off out of the league.
For me, we've lost three players that I thought were always key players. That's Mane. Nico Williams was going to be a good future player for the team, and obviously Divock Origi as well. But then we've also loaned out quite a few young players to places like actually the Bees, isn't it? Blackburn. We've got one gone to
because you got
Blackpool,
Tony
Bolton.
saying. Tony saying disappointed, Neil, angry actually. We thought we had a gentleman's agreement with Origi. And then he says, Neil, what about the depth? Yeah, because Origi, Minamino, there's just a ton of players, the depth that you had last season, that actually was very important for you.
It was very important for us. Klopp's obviously looking at trying to keep the players that he had last season. He's obviously tried to keep as much as he can. He's tried to add to it. And I think the fact that Nunes is, as I said, is the poacher, which is a player that we've always needed but never had, I think that will improve us up front. Yes, we will miss Mane, but life goes on. We've got to move on, man. And sorry, Cox, Origu's out of my control. I did have a word with Klopp, but it didn't work out. Sorry, mate. Sorry.
So,
but for Liverpool, sorry, my grade's going to be a 7. Actually, I think it's going to be a 7.
Okay, Drew, could you imagine the potential of Liverpool's crossing attack with Trent and Robertson crossing the ball into Nunes? Holy shit!
Oh yeah, no, that's going to be brilliant. But quite honestly, and I see where Neil's coming from about the loss of Mane. Mane does a lot more for a team than what I think Nunes can do.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to have to change their philosophy of how to play slightly in certain areas. Will they adapt to it? Only time
that won't be difficult. That won't be difficult for Klopp. And if you look at the way Liverpool play anyway, they always look for a target man. Unfortunately, the target man that we were using last season missed a whole load. Yeah, we've now got a different target who's more of a poacher rather than. I'm going to
be honest though, and I know that we've spoken about last week's friendly. I'm not sold on Nunes. If Nunes hits the ground running, has a great first season, I'd say a great first season as well would only be 15 goals. If he scores 15 goals or more in his first season, I will say he's been a great signing for Liverpool.
You know what? He was on for half an hour and he made more of an impression than Haaland did.
Well, yeah, he did.
Both of them are in
but he's also had a lot more games in pre-season. Haaland had played 40 minutes against Bayern Munich. Yeah. That was it. Liverpool are a lot further into their pre-season programme and they play a lot more pre-season games than what City have.
He still did better, didn't he?
Well, he had a better game.
So far.
Well, yeah, in a friendly game. I mean, one of those two strikers scored against their first choice Bayern Munich defence.
Yeah.
And it wasn't Nunes. So it swings and roundabouts. When we get into the season properly, it'd be easier to judge them. I don't think Nunes has the same talent.
Oh my God, Tony's saying bet who's going to score more goals, Nunes or Haaland.
Silly bet. Haaland's
going to score more
goals.
Tony says Drew is sorry from the Community Shield. 18 says Drew is butthurt.
I don't care about friendly games. Just to put it out there. At William Hill, you can get 11-1 on Haaland to get a double golden boot with the Champions League and Premiership.
Yeah, Haaland is expected to do a lot from where he's come from, but you got to remember that the Bundesliga is a different league to the. I think
we'll get into it in a minute with Haaland because there are
coming up to him
with that. Yeah, I think this season is going to be a test for both of those players. They're
Because
both coming to a league that's a lot harder from where they're coming from.
Because
It
Gabriel
is
Jesus
literally
was
about
getting it
either of them
done.
hitting the ground running. If both of them hit the ground running, both teams will tear it up, and it's not going to make a damn shit of difference
Exactly.
to who the top two are. If one hits the ground running but the other one doesn't, then we could be looking at Spurs sneaking into that second spot this season, if I'm quite honest.
So, Drew, what's your grade?
I'm going to give him a 7 because Nunes he's good, but we don't know how good yet.
Okay. And Andy?
I'll give you my score first, and then I'll just give the reason. I'm only going to give him a 6. I think Nunes is a good signing. I like the look of him on Sunday in his cameo. I think Carvalho's a great winger, but he's one for the future. I don't think he'll feature much now. Quite possibly go out on loan, maybe. I don't know, but they might just keep him around the squad for him to learn a bit this season. But losing Mane, people don't. It's not just all the work rate he does. He scores goals. He scores important goals, like I think somebody else said earlier. You know, Champions League goals, goals in big games. That's difficult to replace. Even if you get someone that scores hat tricks against Fulham and Bournemouth, getting somebody that's going to score you the goal against Man City, against Bayern Munich in the Champions League or whatever, that's a different prospect. And I'm not sure Nunes is ready for that just yet to take on that mantle. So have they improved? Losing Mane, gaining Nunes. Long term, possibly. Right now, maybe not. I think they tried to replace Mane when they bought Diaz in January because they knew Spurs were on the verge of getting Diaz. So Liverpool came in and bought him early because they knew Mane was probably leaving. So that's why they went and got Diaz. Nunes has obviously been is seen as the replacement for Firmino, really, I guess. And they've obviously still got Jota and Salah. I mean, Liverpool are going to score goals. My big issue with Liverpool, what I'm surprised, is that they haven't strengthened in midfield.
Please don't get me started on that. Don't get me started on that.
Because they've got great midfield players. I mean, Fabinho, Thiago, Henderson. I mean, these are good, solid players. Liverpool are going to be strong, and they're very strong defensively. But if
midfield is the weakest part, it's the weakest position in the team.
Fabinho was out for any length of time, 2-3 months or something.
Keita as well. Don't forget Keita.
Might have an issue. But Liverpool are still going to beat most teams in the league. They've got a very strong squad. I'm just not sure they've necessarily improved, which is why I'm going to give them a 6.
Right. So, and for the record, guys, we're going to leave the league predictions till our next show next week because it might as well wait till week 1 to get, and we can have fun with that as well. So we'll do the predictions for next week. But Andy, we're moved to number 3. And we're not going to go with Darren. We're going to go with you because number 3 is Spurs. Now, what I've been impressed with, I'm going to give Spurs an 8. What I've been impressed with...
There's no bias that you've got Arsenal above Spurs. Are you truly trying to say that you've had a better window than us?
No, not necessarily because both of them have got the same score. So they could have gone either way for me. And these guys forget Maddison. You just chose to put
Arsenal above us.
Yep. So
Andy.
You could get Maddison, we could get Tielemans, and that score could change dramatically. If Spurs get Maddison, then they're probably going to get a 9. If Arsenal get Tielemans, they're probably going to get a 9. So at the moment, they both get an 8. But I like what Spurs have done because
you think right now that Arsenal have done as well as Spurs in this window.
So they've essentially got players in key areas, and I think that's what Spurs have really needed. And another thing for Spurs actually is because with the last few managers that have come in, they haven't really backed the managers. And Conte has been pleading for cash to spend, and they've really got behind him and given them the money to build these teams. So you've got to respect them for that. But he spent the money really well. Andy, you go. What's your grade?
Right now, I'm going to give it an 8 for what's been done so far, because I would still have liked to have seen a world-class centre-half. to go with Romero. I think Longlet looked very, very useful in his cameo last weekend when he came on in the second half. So I think Longlet will do a good job. But I think the reason that we've taken him on loan is because Conte really wants either Bastoni or Skriniar from Inter Milan. And we are still sniffing around both of those. The question is going to be whether we can enter into a corner and get one of them. I don't think it's going to happen in this window. But, what?
Who starts for Spurs from their buys? So out of those players, who is going to start?
This weekend, it will only be Perisic. I don't think any of the other new signings will start this weekend. Perisic will start. Basuma is injured. He's picked up a knock in training this week. And Richarlison is suspended for the first game of the season.
Yeah.
Spence, I think, will take a bit of time to challenge for the position. Longlet, I think, will be in the frame fairly soon. And Forster's obviously a backup goalkeeper for Lloris anyway. So the only one I expect to see starting on Saturday will be Perisic. But I think we've done good business. I think I put out in the group at the beginning of the window, we need to strengthen 6 areas. And we've done exactly that. We have got in the players and we've done it early. So they've done pre-season with us, apart from Spence, which came a bit later. So basically, you've got to say what we've done so far is good, but excellent actually. But
how old is Perisic?
Sorry? 37 or something like that. Is he 37 or 30?
Perisic is 33.
33. 33.
They've only brought him as a stopgap. I think we're on the verge of getting Udogi from Udinese as well.
Oh, there could be an issue there, but we'll get to that when we talk about one of the other teams.
Yeah, Kuke is saying that's probably why Arsenal's above them.
Because that's this weekend. Only this weekend one will start. But later in the season, I expect more of them.
Yeah. I expect they've got Saliba, Zinchenko.
There's no way, I'm not having it, any way, shape or form, your business, Arsenal, is not better than Spurs. Just isn't. No way anyone with half a football brain think Arsenal's business is better than Spurs.
Only in your house, Andy. Only in your house.
Not in my house. Look at every expert in football. Not a single expert thinks Arsenal have done better business than Spurs.
Well, it's funny you say that because, and I don't want to get too carried away because we got to go around the rest of the guys, but I've sent on our Arsenal forum all the publications from Sky, BBC, and Talk Sport and all those guys that have said how well Arsenal's business has done and how they're going to be doing better than Spurs. So I'm not sure. We're definitely looking at 2 different publications.
You must be listening to Arsenal-inspired commentators because
no.
Every single expert
the last one,
all the independent ones, all of them have said Spurs have done the best in this transfer window.
The last one I sent to the forum, which was yesterday, was the one from Adrian Durham, who absolutely hates Arsenal with a passion. So it is what it is. Darren,
I tell you what,
Spurs. Where do you see Spurs?
I'm gonna go. I'm genuinely going to go for a 9 here. They got out of the traps quick. They got the players in. That is so massive. They got the players in. Basuma, top holding midfielder. Fraser Forster, really good backup keeper. I mean, even though their first team keeper's shit, so he should probably be the first team keeper. Even Perisic, experience, good player. Richarlison, again, good backup player. I mean, again, 5 subs, so you're going to need these forwards to bring on when it's tight. He's a player that can get goals. Longley, centre-back, experience, comes from Barcelona. And then Jed Spence. I mean, Jed Spence is a flip of the coin type player because you don't know what you're going to get from that level. But I can't fault it. If I was a Spurs fan, I'd be absolutely buzzing with that transfer window, especially how quickly it was done as well, which is important. So, yeah, 9.
I'm gonna give Spurs 8. To be honest, looking at the players they've got, I've got to agree that they've done brilliant business this season. The only thing that I've got a question is Perisic. How at his age, how's he going to be able to? Is he going to cope? How well is he going to cope in the Premier League?
He's super fit, mate.
Well, we'll have to see because Milner is super fit, but you've seen him struggle on the pitch. Yeah, he is. He's one of the fittest players that Liverpool's got, but he struggles at times, and that's purely because of his age. But I'm not saying that he's not going to do well. I'm just questioning how well and how long he's going to be able to do that for.
My tip for everybody: put Perisic in your dream teams. I'm telling you, Perisic is going to take every world by storm.
He better, because I looked at Tony's question and I'm trying to figure out who's going to start in this lineup.
Is that right?
I'd like to comment on I'd like to comment on Richarlison as well. Great player, but he's very temperamental at times. As long as if Conte can keep that temper under wraps, I think he'll do really well as well this season.
I'll tell you why Richarlison's a brilliant signing. I think we've overpaid for him personally. I don't think he's worth 50 million, but we had to pay that money because we've tried for the last 3-4 seasons to get someone to be a backup for Harry Kane or a Heung-min Son. When one of them is missing, it weakens our team dramatically. Yeah. And we needed to have someone that can go in there and perform at that kind of level. Not saying he's as good as Kane, he isn't. But it means now if either Kane or Son are injured, we've got a top-class striker to go in there. And it may be that he can also play with them off the right, with Kulusevski playing as a right wing-back sometimes. That could happen as well. So I think we have strengthened massively. Basuma will start, I'm sure, in the centre midfield once he's back, once he's recovered from injury. I'm sure Basuma will start, Perisic will start, and I believe Spence, when he's up to speed with the rest of them, because he missed pre-season with us, really, when Spence up to he will also start. And it wouldn't surprise me if Longlet's in there before So, we will have guys that start from there.
Drew.
Personally, I think Spurs have done the best business in the transfer window in the league, full stop. I think Spurs have had an absolutely brilliant window. Longlet is top quality. Absolutely top quality, especially if he plays as part of a back three. We saw it when he was at home in France. Didn't get to see him so much at Barcelona, but that's because they just buy players to sit on benches anyway. Basuma, absolutely massive signing. And one of the bargains of the transfer window, quite honestly. Jed Spence, great signing. Perisic for free. I remember when it was announced that Perisic had signed, I absolutely ripped the piss out of Andy over it because they'd signed a middle-aged man. And then when Andy pointed out it was a free transfer, all of a sudden that becomes great business. The only player I'm not 100% on is Richarlison, but that's more personal disdain for the footballer than the talent of the man.
Yeah,
he is a very, very, very talented footballer, but he's also a massive dickhead.
Exactly.
So it is
the problem down to Conte to keep that under control.
Yeah. I think Conte could be the man that does it.
Okay, so guys, number 2 is going to be the Gunners, and for me, guys, just absolutely blown away by the transfer window. I don't think I've seen them, even in the years of Wenger, go out and do their business this early and then just literally go and fill every single gap that they've had and just continue to just pile in money. And at the same time, they've got a little bit of problems with the outgoings, although they have got rid of 3 players. There's another 3 or 4 to go. But Fabio Vieira is one of the most productive midfielders in Europe with Porto. Absolutely astonishing deal that caught us all off guard. For the amount of games he's played, his goals and assists record is just out of this world. Matt Turner, he's serviceable.
Yeah, but Apollo, Mkhitaryan had about 45 goal involvements for I think it was Dortmund?
They're comparing this guy with Bruno Fernandes. That's who they're comparing this guy from, same league as well. Matt Turner, I don't really think
he actually did quite well, to be fair.
Matt Turner, I don't really think too much of him. Marquinhos from Sao Paulo is a huge talent. He's gonna do really, really well. They're talking about him being another Martinelli this season. Saliba is just a Rolls Royce. They're saying this guy is on Van Dijk levels, but we won't know.
He doesn't want to be there. He doesn't want to be there.
Gabriel Jesus from Man City. What can I say? He's just transformed our front line. He just looks so good. I think what's scary about him is we've seen him play for Man City for all these years. Won four league titles with them, And in an Arsenal shirt, it's almost like we didn't even know what we were buying, because the way he touches the ball, his movement, I mean, he's better than what I thought he was. I'm sorry, Drew. And I've been a big fan of his for years. But
I've been saying this for the past 5 years, and everyone has laughed at me. He is genuinely brilliant.
He is going to be the guy he's going to be the biggest shock of the Premier League this season. You watch how many goals he's going to score. It's going to be unbelievable. I mean, he's just, for me, just an absolutely outstanding buy. Zinchenko, when this guy came on and I saw the quality of touches, and I've seen him play for Ukraine, I know he's a quality player. Again, you know, Pep, there's the argument because Shevchenko played him in the midfield and Pep played him at left back. But and nobody really knows where Arteta wants him. We know, you know, Tierney's injury prone. But for me, if Tierney is fit, Zinchenko starts in the midfield. He plays the number 8 role. He takes Xhaka's position. And that just gives us a wealth of riches. I mean, this is by far one of the best windows, and they haven't even finished. So me giving them an 8 is actually a worst case scenario. I'm being really humble. We did the show last night, and everyone was giving them, you know, everyone was blowing their trumpet. But I'm giving them an 8 because I'm tempering my expectations, because I know that there's more players that are going to come in. But this is an unbelievable transfer win for Arsenal. This is more than we could have hoped for. Darren?
Yeah. Arsenal fans getting carried away again.
I think obviously Jesus is class. I thought he was class at City. You could just tell the players got class, and hopefully, well, not hopefully because I don't care, but I think we might be seeing the goal scorer in him. Zinchenko, jury's out, not sure. But yeah, no, what did I give? I gave Spurs a 9, so I'd probably give you an 8. I'm going to go 8 because Vieira. Yeah, is it going to transfer over to this league? I don't know, Marquinhos Austin.
Again, so same questions as Bruno Fernandes, and that's what I'm asking as well. Yeah, I'm
going to give you an 8 then. I think Spurs is more proven quality for the league, and
I think out of the two teams, I think Spurs have done slightly better. But when you're looking at Jesus and Zinchenko, they're bringing Premier League, and these guys have already proven themselves within the Premier League. Unfortunately, they weren't getting enough game time at City, so they're going to be more than just bit part players. Now they've come to Arsenal, and they've got a lot to prove. I think Saliba. Well,
wait until you see Saliba, boy. Oh boy,
Saliba. I mean,
where did he play? Where did he play last then? Like France, was it?
Yeah, France. Yeah. And one player of the year.
Yeah.
Absolutely balling out. Got into the French team, balling out for the French team.
Yeah.
We've seen him play this preseason, and he just looks. He's a Rolls Royce. He's an absolute Rolls Royce. He is an absolute. That's why pundits are talking about he could be the next big thing. I don't know why they bought Ben White if they knew they had this guy here. It seems like a waste of money, but we'll have to wait and see. So, what's your grade, Neil?
Yeah, I'm gonna give a 7. I to be honest, I think that Spurs have done slightly better, but we've still got to see how their players translate in the league this season. You guys got, obviously, as I said, Jesus and Zinchenko, they've already been playing for the top team in the league, and they've already proven themselves. And then we also have to see how Vieira translates in the league as well.
I think that's the good argument there, because you take those two guys, as I said, won 4 Premier League titles, and then you're taking the players that Spurs have brought in, and do you really know whether they're going to translate into the league? Richarlison,
I think they'll all do well. I think they'll all do well.
Is Richarlison? I know you guys spoke about Nunes and Haaland. Is Richarlison Gabriel Jesus' level? I don't think so. Not a chance. Not even close. Drew.
Can I ask one question actually about Saliba? Was Saliba already at Arsenal but out on loan last season?
He was on loan last year.
He's never played a game for Arsenal.
I'm sorry, get him off the list then, because he's not That would be like, I don't know, Phil Foden when he came into the Man City team 2 years ago. Well, he's not played this game as a starter yet. It would be the same kind of thing. So I'm not going to class Saliba in Arsenal's summer transfer business.
Okay.
But he does look like a good player, though.
I'm going to enjoy these conversations on a Friday night.
I am very, very baffled by one thing, though.
Mm-hmm.
Zinchenko. I love Zinchenko. I think he's been great for Man City. I really do. He's, for a player that cost 1.75 million and has got to the last year of his contract. Why the hell did you pay £32.5 million for a player about to enter the last year of their contract, but also another £50 million on another player about to enter the last year of their contract? I think they're good players. They improve your squad. They genuinely do. But you've overpaid for them.
So this is something which nobody's talking about. And the reason why no one's talking about it, because as you know, with Chelsea, and there's a few other players as well in European football who, you know, we can talk about Lewandowski and a few other players. Gone are the days when the last year of your contract meant that you could go for nothing. These players were Rolls Royces at Man City. They were part of what was working.
I mean, that's a major exaggeration. Zinchenko was a Ford Cortina. Gabriel Jesus, at best, was a Vauxhall Astra.
They're both
a very good player. Don't get me wrong, but Jesus.
Yeah. So whether that's the case, you've got to look at the fact that Raheem Sterling, Gabriel Jesus, and Zinchenko was part of a winning formula. That's what they were.
We have also just made £150 million out of players with less than a year left on their contract.
And when you have a commodity, you've got to pay for that. And that's exactly the reason why City was able to recuperate that amount of money, because all three of those players that they sold were top dollar. So that's just, I mean, I looked at his market value, Gabriel Jesus, on transfer.com, and it was 87 million. So if
you don't want to pay attention to that. It's got Phil Foden at 180. So
yeah, it has. But you know, but Jack Grealish went for 100 million. So you know, the fact of the matter is if this guy had 3 or 4 years left on his contract, that's what he would have commanded. Because there's a lot of strikers out there, you know, Nkunku, Alexander Isak, 24, 25 years old, and they've got an 80, 90 million tag on them. So it is what it is. And you get him for that money because he's in the last year of his deal. Raheem Sterling, again, Sterling is worth around 85 million. Chelsea got him for practically half of that. So 1 year left. That's what happens. So what's your grade? What's your grade, David?
Well, I'm going to be honest. I don't think Arsenal have done as well as what a lot of people do. I think they've done a good, solid 7.5. But the other thing that worries me is Fabio Vieira. We can say that he looks like another Bruno Fernandes all we like, and I apologise to Darren Fierce, I think Bruno Fernandes is one of the most overrated players we've taken from the Portuguese league in the past decade, quite honestly. And I think Vieira's lightweight and doesn't have the pace for it. So I'm worried about that signing. The other signings are solid, but I don't think Vieira's going to... I'm happy to eat my words on Vieira. I am happy to admit that I'm wrong if I'm wrong.
Yeah, the truth is, no Arsenal fan is talking about Vieira at the moment because he's not played in pre-season at all. He's had a knock, so we haven't seen him. So he's for us, if he comes along, that would be a nice special surprise. But what he was doing last season was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Whether that would translate to the Premier League, I don't know, and we can say that about quite a few of the players that we've been talking about today. What's your grade?
7.5.
Excellent. Andy?
Okay. I was waiting for my chance. Right. Saliba shouldn't be on the list. Saliba's been an Arsenal player for 2-3 years. He went out on loan to Marseille, did not want to come back to Arsenal, made it abundantly clear he didn't want to come back. You forced him to come back. Fair enough. Maybe now he's back, he'll want to stay. I don't know. But yes, he is a good player. I don't doubt that. I've seen him play for Marseille. Quality player. But what he's going to be like week after week after week after week with the power and the intensity of the Premier League, that's nothing like Ligue 1. There's a big difference. So what I expect from Arsenal is that they will have a very good start to the season because their players are young, very, very strong, very young, very quick, and they're in a bit of a groove in pre-season. But I've seen Spurs win every game in pre-season before and then have a terrible start to the season. So that doesn't necessarily mean very much. I think you will say, I mean, nonsense coming out from Tony now. What absolutely
I
nonsense.
actually agree with him. I think Jesus is better than any of the buys that Spurs have had.
What absolute nonsense is that?
Jesus is going to be.
He scored a few goals in pre-season. Well done. He will score goals in the Premier League, Jesus. I've always rated Jesus. He's a good player. I've said it for years while he's been at City. It's been a bit unlucky that he's been there with all the top-class players that City have. He is a good player. He's going to score goals for Arsenal. Wouldn't shock me in the slightest if he gets 20. I think he's a good signing for you. But I think you're overblowing a little bit what you've done. Jesus is a good buy. Zinchenko will be probably better than what you had, but he's a City reject. Jesus is a City reject.
Oh,
you know,
God,
so you spent 80 million on 2 City rejects.
So I love this language. I love this language. You know why? Because when it comes to doing our Friday night shows, I'm not going to forget this conversation. I'm not even going to try and defend it because we're pushed for time at the moment. We've got to close off the stream.
The point I'm making is that I think, honestly, it shows your bias that you would even have the temerity to think Arsenal had a better transfer window than Spurs. It's absolute nonsense. But okay, it doesn't really bother me because what matters is who finishes higher and who wins trophies this season. Right? That's what's going to matter. If you think for 1 minute Arsenal are going to finish above Spurs this season, you're deluded. Right? I'm telling you that now straight, and I will take any wager you want.
So Spurs are going to win the league, Andy?
I didn't say we're going to win the league. I don't think we're as good as City.
I heard you say that they've got a good chance to finish third or second. Something to that respect.
Yes, I think we will be third this season. It wouldn't shock me if we managed to outstrip Liverpool and get second, but I can't see us beating City.
So you're talking about bias, and then you're saying that second place Arteta's a bad manager, and he.
Sorry, who's second place?
I love all this because I'm just jotting it down so that when we have our podcast on a Friday, I can just bring the subject back up again.
What is it you're saying? I'm saying.
Well, you said Arteta wasn't a good manager, was you?
I don't think he is. No.
Yeah. Okay. I'm jotting it down. So Spurs will finish what, third or second?
I think Spurs will finish third. If I had to make a prediction.
Okay. Excellent.
I don't think Arsenal will finish above Spurs. Do you think Arsenal will finish above Spurs?
I don't know. Yeah, I do actually. I think they've got a good chance of finishing above Spurs.
Okay.
I think
Arsenal haven't strengthened in the one area that they really needed to, which is central midfield. Where's your leader?
Central midfield, they've got a Rolls Royce in there, and what they need is a number 8. A central midfield at the moment. If Partey gets injured, we're in trouble. But
exactly. So what has he done to make it better?
What do you mean?
What have you done to? You had one issue, in my opinion. You came to Spurs and got dipped.
Yeah.
When you had Champions League in your hands,
yeah.
You came to Spurs and then you went to Newcastle on the Monday night and Champions League was still in your hands.
Yeah.
And you had no leaders. You had
we had no team. We had no team, Andy.
What do you mean you had no team?
You just said we had no leaders. You said what happened against Spurs and Newcastle. I'm answering that question. And I'm telling you, those guys had nothing in the tank, and they had nothing in the tank for literally weeks. The only reason why that they started pushing was because they introduced Holding to deal with the injuries at centre back. They introduced El Nene, who showed up the midfield, and they brought Edin Nketiah in there because Lacazette couldn't hit a barn door. If it wasn't for those 3 players who hadn't played all season, by the way, Martinelli was doing nothing, Saka was doing nothing, Smith Rowe was out. They were gassed.
Exactly.
Those guys were overplayed, tired. There was no rotation in the team. They were gassed, and I was saying that every single week.
Apollo, but listen carefully to what I'm saying. I'm not saying that Arsenal aren't a good side. Arsenal are full of very good quality young players. No question about it. You know, I've spoken about it many times. I rate a number of your young players. They're very, very good. What you don't have is experience and wise heads and leaders for when the going gets tough. I expect you'll spank several teams 4-5-0, 5-1 this season. But then you'll go and play Liverpool, or then you'll go and play City or Chelsea, or maybe Chelsea, depends on how they do.
No,
but
not Chelsea.
You'll play
not
Liverpool
Chelsea.
City.
We beat Chelsea both twice last season.
Yeah, all right. Forget
Liverpool and
wrap
City
this
are a
up,
problem
right?
for us.
I got to wrap this up.
Yeah, Andy, you're taking a bit long with this, mate. We're just looking for a score.
But I'm trying to balance out the ridiculous Arsenal euphoria because you beat someone 4-0 in pre-season.
Andy, we just need a grade for the transfer window. That's all. We're all waiting to get
I know,
off the
but I
stream.
just can't work out how anybody of sane mind could put Arsenal above Spurs in the transfer window.
Well, like I said to you, there are plenty of publications out there who have done that. I might even send you some of the videos.
I don't know of any that I put that suggest that. And actually, it doesn't matter because what matters is what happens in the season.
Exactly.
Guys, do you see that? You see that? I'm weighing up the Spurs balls and the Arsenal balls, yeah? Who's got the bigger kahunas, yeah?
I'm just saying, I can't understand.
Andy, we're waiting for your figure, mate. We're waiting for your figure.
I'm going to go, all right? Good night.
All right, Darren, cheers. Thanks a lot. Andy, come on, man. We're trying to get off the stream, man. We're trying to get to number one.
Go on, then.
Quickly, then.
Oh.
Right, so let's get to Manchester City.
My phone's shutting down. I've run out of battery.
All right, okay. Guys, number one, let's get to Manchester City. Finally, we're here. City of arguably the best team in the country. And for what they've done in terms of bringing in the players that they've needed in the positions, Calvin Phillips was just, that caught everybody off by surprise. I wasn't expecting that. Again, the players out for Manchester City, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. A record 17 players have left Manchester City. I mean, they've literally brought in more money than what they've spent. Just fantastic. Darren. So I'm going to give them a 9. Darren.
Yeah, 9.
I'm going to give them an 8.
And I've got to go on that note, right, guys?
No, yeah, we're done now, mate. We're done. Cheers. Thanks a lot then, Darren. I'll catch up with you
Darren,
later.
have a good one.
Cheers,
Okay.
mate. Neil, what did you give them?
I'm going to give them an 8.
Fourth and fifth in the Premiership got more time than reigning champions.
Yeah. No, I think City have done really good business. But then again, it's also seen, just like Nunes, seen how Haaland translates within the first season. I mean, to be honest, the way I look at it, not many players will come into a season, especially in the Premier League, and just kick it up from day one. So a lot of them will take maybe 3 months, 6 months before they get into it. You've got to give them. I normally say when a new player comes in, give them a season and then start judging them after that, because they've got to get used to a different pace, a different competition, different teams that they're going against. I mean, the Premier League is one of the hardest leagues when it comes to players coming in and trying to adapt. And there's been a lot of players. There's been a lot of players who've been brilliant but cannot adapt to this league.
Yeah,
and it's purely because of the pace. You've got to look at a lot of the defenders. I mean, when you look at the Bundesliga, you look at La Liga. Sorry, not the Bundesliga, La Liga. Yeah. Right? Those players have been given time on the ball to show their skills. Yeah, they don't get that time when they come to the Premiership. Yeah, they'll get eager centre backs, wingers taking them out. Yeah,
I think that's the reason.
Been injured from that.
I think that's the reason why when I look at the Spurs lineups and Lenglet and Perisic and all those players, it looks all good on paper, but how are they going to translate to league? I know that Zinchenko and Gabriel Jesus can play at a high level in the league. I know that. But
Bissouma he's also going to play well as well because he's already used to the Premiership.
Because he's already used to it, exactly.
So it's looking at the players that you've got that already playing in the Premiership and looking at the players who haven't had that experience. How will they adapt? And as I said, there's a lot of players who've come in that some of them are going to do well and some of them are going to think, what the hell am I doing here? Yeah, I thought it was going to be easy, and it's not. The Premier League is never an easy league to come in and just to start banging in goals or start defending brilliantly unless you've had previous experience. I mean, look at Salah. When Salah came to Chelsea, Chelsea had to get rid of him. Yeah, he flopped, but then when he came back, he come back with a bit more experience, and he's been kicking it up. So it's very difficult to say how these players are going to translate when they come into the Premiership.
So what's your grade for City? I mean, it's just phenomenal what they've done. Seriously,
City,
I mean,
City, I'll give them an 8. That's the highest I've gone so far, and I'll give them an 8. Yeah, the reason why I say give them an 8 is because I think that they've, even though they've got rid of a good bit of players, I think those are very important players they've got rid of. So will they be? I don't think they're actually stronger up front. I think Haaland will be great for them if he hits the ground running. Yeah, but
good point. So I'm going to change my rating from a 9 to an 8.
Yeah, I mean Sterling, Shevchenko, Jesus, they were great bit part players. Yeah, and the fact that City have got rid of them, that says a lot. That City have the confidence in the players that they've got, or they've made big mistakes.
So the difference between that is, I know that Jota, Diaz are already going to fill gaps. I already know that, but I can't. Who's going to fill the gaps for City? It's like Haaland has got a big job to do, and he's got to replace those players at the front in Sterling and Jesus.
Well, you when you think about it, I mean, he's an Aguero replacement, right?
But he's never played in the Premier League.
Haaland is literally a multi-tool of a centre forward.
He is.
He's a bit like a Swiss Army knife, right?
He is.
Well, I mean, the guy runs 100 meters in 10.5 for Christ's sake, and he's 6'5".
Yeah, no, he's going to be a great target man for you guys. He's going to be a great target man. But the thing is,
he's much more than a target man, though.
No.
I mean, the one problem we got is getting our players that we already have to actually get the ball behind defences for him, because we're not used to doing it, and that's going to be the biggest issue that City have.
So he will be your target man. I mean, he's not expected just to be a target man. You're expecting to benefit from plenty of goals from the guy. Yeah, and that's why you brought him in, to add that extra dimension that you didn't have before. Right. Yeah. But at the same time, it's, as I said, just like Nunes, how well are they going to adapt in their first season? I think the second season, Haaland, if he does well this season, he'll do great next season. Yeah, and I think the same with Nunes as well. But at the moment they are untested in the Premiership. They've only had playing against each other for flipping 90 minutes.
The one big thing I'd say though is, who's the quickest striker to 20 goals in the Champions League?
Yeah, but the thing is, when you look at you're looking at the Champions League, you're talking about teams. You're talking about teams across Europe.
Yeah, it's Premier League, guys. It's Premier League.
But we take that record very seriously when we look at Ronaldo, when we look at Raul.
Yeah, but what you've also got to look at is whether they can translate that in the Premier League. Remember, this isn't Bundesliga. This isn't Liga. This isn't Serie A. The Premier League is the toughest league to play in. Yeah, if he adapts, he will do well. Yeah, if he adapts, he'll do well. I don't think the Premier League gives you the best look in football, because players don't get the time to show their skills a lot of the time. Yeah, but it's the toughest. You get hit the hardest. You get so many injuries in the Premier League purely because of the way we play, and that's how we are. That's how our league is. Yeah, and it's whether these guys can adapt to that, whether they can take a knock and carry on.
I think the physicality, both Nunes and Haaland, will be fine. I
think they'll do well, but they're not going to they're not going to experience the knocks and the hits. You know.
Oh yeah,
it's a lot. It's a lot
harder.
We're not going to see Haaland do what he done at Dortmund. And Nunes do what he done at Benfica. It's not going to happen.
That's what I'm saying. It's about how they adapt to this league, because they have to play differently. They have to act differently. Yeah, they have to be different.
So you've got an 8 from Neil.
City.
For City. Drew, City, talk to me. Number one.
I'm going to give 2 separate scores for them. First of all, for players.
It sounded like you were saying Spurs was supposed to be number 1.
Right, for players in, City get an 8 because we still need to get a left back. For players out, honestly, some of the money we've made out of teams. I mean, we've sold Bazunu for 12 million. Southampton fans didn't even know who the hell Bazunu was. So, to be fair, I've got a couple of City supporter friends who had no idea who the hell Bazunu was. He was our 6th choice goalkeeper when we sold him. So, I think we've done great business selling, a little bit more bringing in a left back, and City are a 9. But 8 for players in, 9 for players out at the moment.
So you're going to go in for Kokela?
Well, we have, but apparently Brighton seem to value him at 50 million.
That's the Premier League, isn't it? that's the Premier League.
I think he's good, but unfortunately, Andy has gone off the cast because obviously he said about the Udinese left back, who City made contact over him today. So, I mean.
Yes.
What are you going to do? Are you going to go to London, which, it might be a nicer city, or are you going to go where you actually win things and don't do Spursy stuff?
Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you. So, guys, listen, this has been the longest stream we've done because it's the beginning of the season. I mean, it is for the Premier League podcast. It is for the Premier League podcast because we normally try to keep it to about an hour and 15 minutes, but we had so much to get through today. And I think that we took a little bit long in the beginning, but at the crux of it, we've got there in the end. But I've enjoyed it. It's been fantastic, especially to hear everybody's views on the teams. And all we've got to do now is take this information, translate it into what the teams are actually doing. And it would be nice to revisit this and see how these guys are getting on.
Can I just say one thing before we go? This would have been an hour shorter if Spurs and Arsenal weren't talked about.
Andy just took a little bit. Andy just went way. I don't know how long he was on Arsenal, but
you've got the bigger balls, right?
And it's funny, we still didn't get a score from him after all of that. All right, guys. Listen, thanks a lot, everybody. Cool. I appreciate that, guys, and we'll speak to you guys next Friday, man.
All right, gents. Have a good one. Right, speak to you soon.
Enjoy week 1.
Yeah, we will do. Guys.